Okay. Hello. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Well, let's face it, gentlemen. Hello, gentlemen. How are we today? How are we doing? Hope we're all doing well. Hope we're all doing good. It's Friday. You have made it to the end of another week. You have successfully slogged through another week. Hope you gave it your all. You gave it your all, now it's the weekend. Now you are allowed to relax. Unless you work weekends, and if you do, I'm sorry. That genuinely sucks, and to that I say, I deeply apologize for your predicament. I sympathize with you. I feel you. I feel you. Work half days on Saturday. Well, at least it's not a full day. At least you're getting paid. At least you're getting paid. Can you do a Fent stream? Oh, God. Help me. Help me, Jesus. This is gonna be a long one. This is gonna be a long one. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's doing good. Oh, that's right. Those of you guys who are in university right now, or college, you guys have finals coming up. I was there once. I used to be there. I don't miss it. I don't envy your position. I remember just how fucking brutal it could be. And you know what? Good luck. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I know it sucks. I know it's a lot of work. I know it's a lot of studying, but the last thing you want to do is stress yourself out too much to where you're gonna, psych yourself out on an exam. So just take a breath. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. The worst thing you can do is fail a test. And in the grand scheme of life, that's not a really big fucking deal. Trust me, it's not. You fail a fucking test, oh no, the world's not gonna fucking end and fall around your ears if you don't get a good grade on a test. So don't worry about it too much. Thoughts on trade school instead of college? It is a wonderfully perfect, viable alternative to a 4-year degree. It's a great way to learn a skill, a great way to earn money, without having to dump extra time and resources into getting a 4-year degree, and then learning skills afterwards. It all depends on what you want to do with yourself, and what you want to do with your life. Am I gonna bomb those I Improved 2 Fort videos? No, because, those videos are not meant to be taken seriously at all. They're not presenting anything serious. They're just dicking around, remaking 2 Fort. I will say there's nothing wrong with 2 Fort. 2 Fort is fine. It's, simply put, one of the most beautiful maps in the game. It comes from a different era. It doesn't need to be changed for any reason. I really don't give a shit if they bastardize the maps to be turned into whatever they feel is more fun for them. I just don't care that much. I saw some with a Gandalf cosplay. Will students with the name blah blah stand up? Since you all voted know your grades before the class ends, those who stood up, you shall not pass. Ha, funny. Funny. Great Blue is attempting to be serious, while Shonik added the horseman. At least Shonik knows what's up. He knows not to take things too seriously, so. Perform for me, streamer man. Dance for me, monkey man. Do what I say. I demand to be entertained immediately. Please. No, yeah. Today we have a couple videos that I want to look at. I want to take a look at, of course, the third, the end, the trinity of unholy videos. The What has put out his third balanced video. That's going to be the meat and potatoes for today. That's going to be fun to go through. Very interesting to see what he has proposed. I did my best to avoid spoilers, so I didn't see what he did to everything. So that's gonna be fun, but I would like to start with something different. I'm gonna take a quick look at something else before we begin. And then I'll dive into the What's video. Yeah, I saw the update for TF2 yesterday. It's just a bunch of random fixes. It's a bunch of random fixes that other people inside the community figured out for Valve, and then they just plug them in. That's what TF2 updates are going to be from now on, aside from more hats and maps and taunts and unusual effects, and maybe skins, we will get practically meaningless bug fixes from here on out, because who genuinely cares about the lighting on a cosmetic? And that's fine? No, I disagree. It's not fine. There are much more glaring flaws and issues with Team Fortress 2 that Valve will never address, that should have been addressed years ago, but they simply never will, and that should be Valve's focus, and not leaving this game on life support. It's bullshit how much they still neglect this game and have neglected this game for so long, and to say that, you know, getting just more hats and shit to gamble for is fine. I completely disagree. TF2 is fine, just play the game? Nope, it's not fine. Casual mode is fundamentally broken on so many different levels. If you'd like to know why, go watch the TF2 is broken section of my Meet Your Match video and you will fully understand just how miserable of an experience casual mode is and why it is broken at a fundamental level. That should have been addressed. Casual mode should have never happened. It should have never happened. And once it was implemented, Valve should have undone it immediately. But they didn't, because they were incompetent, they were foolish, they were blinded by the fact that Overwatch was a thing, and they're like, man, we have to compete with that when there really was no point. It's a different game, you're not competing, it's like competing a turtle against a car battery. Completely different things. Casual's fine, you just have to wait? Nope, it's not just a matter of waiting. Consistently unbalanced teams, a slew of bugs that prevent you from playing, a bunch of useless downtime that does absolutely nothing, a competitive matchmaking system that absolutely does not yield anything that resembles a good and balanced game, constant steamrolls, people consistently bailing out over and over again, a non-functioning auto-balance system, a matchmaking system that takes forever to put new players into your fucking server. I could go on. I could keep going. And none of those problems existed prior to casual mode's existence, but no, it's fine because you can get into a server and walk around and shoot things. You are not actually playing Team Fortress 2, you're playing a heavily neutered, watered-down version of the game that does everything in its power to subvert and thwart the player experience, all because Valve wanted to make this game their third big esport, and they failed catastrophically, they failed beautifully, and they should forever be laughed and mocked for attempting to do so. And no one should ever forget what they did to this beautiful game. Ever. That's just how it is. You think TF2 only makes $4 million a year? Or wait, so you mean the TF2 dev's salary is $4 million? Okay, it's it. Yeah, they make a lot of money, but I don't know if anyone working on TF2 actually earns 7 figures. The only person that we know for a fact is working on TF2, other than Eric Smith, who doesn't work on TF2 full-time, is Joshi, the contractor, and, you know, contractors get paid dirt by comparison. So he's probably, you know, they're making a livable amount of money, but they're not getting paid 7 figures. They're not getting paid 7 figures. So yeah. So, before we begin, there is a, y'all may have noticed that, SolarLight put out a 3-hour video about his experience playing competitive Team Fortress 2 as Demo Knight. I'm not gonna watch the video. Not the whole thing anyway, because I genuinely do not give a shit about his journey through various forms of competitive Team Fortress 2. I really don't give a damn at all. But there is a very interesting 10 to 15 minute section towards the end of the video that I believe is worth addressing, namely because the ideas that it put out there and the implications that it puts out there are not only based in complete falsehood, but are also attempting to instill the idea in the player base's heads that it is your fault. Yours. The regular vanilla player base, it's your fault that the game is the way it is. It's your fault. It is your fault. Effectively, anyway. Let's see, let me get this fixed up here. I think that cropping is good enough. Let's have a listen, shall we? Let's have a look at this very lovely section of his video.
It is currently the 26th of March, 2025.
He doesn't say anything of value here
So
until about here.
For Demo Night to be meta. That ship has sailed nearly a decade ago. All I ask is for somewhere to be. Besides casual mode and Uncletopia, I mean. I've been so focused on making videos that I forgot how much I miss playing competitive. It's a good excuse for a group of 6 to make friends and play together.
You will play 6v6 and you will be happy. Exactly.
On a consistent basis, and that's hard to come by in a casual setting. Especially after Valve killed community servers and replaced quick play with matchmaking.
They did.
I still miss the LAN events.
They did, and I'm glad he acknowledges this as a problem and something they should have never done.
The company that was hosting them in the UK basically went under.
That is pretty crazy that the Insomnia series basically just fucking vanished, and that's something that no one really talks about too. These used to be really big events for competitive Team Fortress 2, and they went away. They went away.
I went there every year, and now
these were a big deal. I watched these too. They were a huge fucking deal.
Gone. My extended family, gone. Look, casual players. I still appreciate funny shenanigans. I am capable of the funny.
See, this is the first thing I didn't like about this section, is the watering down of the vanilla game to just silly and wacky. Like, if you want to play, like, TF2 is just the silly, wacky game. Like, it's just goofy, silly, funny moments. It's like, it carries the implication that, like, TF2 is nothing more than just, like, the funny, wacky hat game to me. That's what I get from this statement.
I think silliness is great, in moderation. I absolutely agree that the casual nature of this game should be preserved. Replacing quick play with matchmaking was a mistake. But it shouldn't be to the point where the actual balance of the game starts getting ruined for the sake of the funny.
So to even imply that the game's balance was fucked over the course of several years to cater to the funny for funny moments is insanity. To me, that's insanity. When you can very eloquently and quickly point out when the vast majority of balance changes started making a lot of weapons go down the shitter, and that was in 2015, when Valve started steering Team Fortress 2 towards gearing up towards Meet Your Match. Whereas, when all of the weapons, the vast majority of the weapons, were added prior to that point through 2014, Valve was actively listening to the player base, looking at feedback, and actively trying to balance everything so it fit into the vanilla game. And then the balancing went out of the window once Valve shifted gears towards catering towards competitive players. Curious, isn't it?
It shouldn't get to the point where the mere existence of organized competitive play gets people angry. You can't blame—
This doesn't happen, by the way. Or it does. If it does, it's a very, very, very teeny tiny minority of people. And this is something he does a lot in this video, is he takes like 3 or 4 people and blows it up to be this incredibly prevalent vocal group of individuals. And no one is getting mad at competitive players doing their own thing. This isn't real. You don't see threads, you don't see videos of people getting mad at people for playing competitive mode. Exactly, most people just don't care. They don't care about what competitive players are doing.
Blame people for wanting a competitive matchmaking system. You can't get mad at people for wanting more careful, deliberate game balance.
Thing is, of course you can't get mad at competitive players wanting a functioning competitive matchmaking system, but you also have to acknowledge that that's not what Team Fortress 2 was designed for, right? Team Fortress 2 wasn't designed for competitive matchmaking. You can certainly have that in your own separate sphere and what have you, and if Valve had just left Meet Your Match at that, fine. It would have only amounted to an overwhelmingly disappointment of a competitive mode, right? No, yeah, and of course, like, he seeks out comments like these, right, that have no visibility, no traction, just complete randoms, and hyper-focuses on these, and blows them up to be like, this is everywhere, this is super prevalent, Everyone is saying this. Tons of people are saying this when if you just go and look in the vast majority of places where TF2 discourse happens, this isn't prevalent. I mean, this statement is just true, right? You got a bunch of guys, they're not pussies, but they band together and they ban a bunch of fucking weapons because they want to play a different game other than TF2, right? And something else, too, that irritates me is, like, you can't get mad at people for wanting more careful, deliberate game balance. As if, though, your typical TF2 player that engages in the vanilla game for whatever reason doesn't care about this. I think the overwhelming majority of us here, and the overwhelming majority of people that play Team Fortress 2 actually care about game balance as a whole. They want things to be fun, fair, and balanced, not just silly and wacky. You know? And this statement carries the implication and, like, diminishes the rest of the overwhelming majority of players, the vanilla player base, as if, though, they don't really care about this careful, deliberate game balance. Competitive players do. Competitive players are the ones that obviously care so much about careful, deliberate game balance. And if you're a casual player, if you're a filthy casual, you don't really care that much. You just want the silly and the funny and the wacky. Like, what is... Seriously, dude?
People care about this game, and sometimes new additions to said game are poorly executed and dilute what the game was.
That is simply a true statement, right? That there have been additions to Team Fortress 2 that have taken it away from its original identity. Demo Night being one of them, because if you look at the class-based, team-based, first-person shooter, a melee-only gimmick was not part of the original vision at all, and absolutely took it away from the original vision of Team Fortress 2. So, that is a true statement, you know? And it's so frustrating, too, here. It's like, you know, people care about this game. I care about this game. So, like, but because I'm a filthy casual and I'm a vanilla player, like, my caring of the game, like, I care less for the game than you, than competitive players? Like, that's the implication being carried here, in the context of a video about competitive play.
And because people care, they complain. They ask for nerfs or reversions. If you're curious on why things get banned or you want to comment about it, make sure you check up-to-date whitelists first. I don't want to see more false rumors being spread around. It's quite frustrating to correct people all the time because they didn't check whitelist.tf.
Go outside. Please. SolarLight, I beg you. If you're spending your days going out of your way to correct people on fucking Reddit about game balance and people having and again, these are like, there can't be that many fucking people that do this. It has to be like, you know, one or two people like per thread, and he feels compelled to go out of his way to correct them. SolarLight's video is meant to run defense for the competitive community, but the way he otherizes casual players when that is just the default state of being a TF2 player comes off as condescending. No, yeah, exactly. He's being condescending to how the other 95% of the player base plays this game. And he acts condescending and, like, diminishes their enjoyment of the game as, like, oh, you're just here for the funny and wacky. You're just here, and you don't care about the game balance or the game at a deeper level. You're just here for the wacky moments. He's like, oh, but then he does this bullshit thing too, where he does this performative lowering of himself. Like, I care about the wacky too, guys. I like it too. Look at me. I'm relatable. But I also play competitive, therefore I actually care about game balance. Like, oh my god, dude.
Like, really, there is a small subset of players who genuinely think the Bison was banned for being OP.
And he shows one Reddit comment. Like, this is the first time I've ever heard. This is the first time I've heard of it. This is the first time I've heard of it. I've never heard someone think that the Bison was banned from competitive play. This is the first time I have ever heard of this once. And if there really is like a small like, I would like at least more than one example. If you could show at least 2 examples, then I'd be like, okay, it's at least more than one, right? Oh. No, yeah, ETF2L banned the lock and load because 1 or 2 guys got a little bit too good with the weapon and kept killing their medics because medics get used to standing in one spot or another knowing that they're safe because pipes have a limited range because of their arc. But then once people started using the lock and load more often, they didn't have their specific spots they could stand in anymore, and they were able to kill the medics from a further range, and it forced them to play just a little bit differently. And because it forced medics to play a little bit differently, well, of course, you have to ban it.
What? TF2 was such a great, simple game when it launched. You had your class,
Yes.
you had your stock items, and that was it. The
Sure.
most fun you could have online, apparently. But then Valve started adding stuff. Neat, at least at first. That said, one terrible decision in particular, a decision so bad that it split the community into two sides, but this could have been fixed with a nerf, or...
This is the one thing that I can point to in this video, and then immediately disregard everything else that he says in this video. To say that the addition of the Sandman is what creates the split, or what created the split between casual and competitive scenes, just goes to show either how little research he did for this video, or how little of an understanding he has of competitive Team Fortress 2 and its origins. And this is someone that proclaims to be so in tune and involved in the competitive scene and knows how the competitive scene works, to point at the Sandman and say this is what made the competitive scene split off from the casual scene, without acknowledging that, yeah, as soon as TF2 launched, competitive players were already playing something else. They wanted something different. The fundamental difference between the vanilla game and the competitive game is the fact that they cut the team sizes in half and instill class limits. That was figured out before the Sandman was added, more or less. You know, some people still weren't perfectly abiding by that meta, but those two massively significant differences, that is what split the competitive scene away from the vanilla scene, just as it did for those who played versus Saxton Hale and those who played Dodgeball and all these other subset little game modes. It wasn't the addition of the Sandman that created the schism. No, it's because competitive players wanted to play a different game. And also, when the Sandman was first added, everyone hated it. It was fucking broken when they added the Sandman, because it could stun Ubers, and no matter what range the ball flew, you were stunned for the full duration. It was fucking broken at launch, to the point, if he had done just a little bit of research. I assume he didn't point this out in his video. I assume he didn't do this. But people, within 4 days of the Sandman being added, were seeking out ways to remove it from their servers. Because before the game went free to play, there were only community servers where players could remove the Sandman. Vanilla players were doing this too. They fucking hated this thing. Everyone hated the original Sandman. And to point to that as the precedent that created the schism between vanilla and competitive play just goes to show how little of an understanding he has of the game in its earlier stages. Just goes to show how out of touch and how little research he did. This took me 2 seconds to find. I wasn't there. I started playing in 2010, right? On a regular basis, I started playing in 2010. And I'm like, I guarantee, because I know after watching Lister's video that the original Sandman was fucking broken. And so okay, I guarantee it that other community servers, because there were only community servers, were also looking to ban this item. And after 2 seconds of a Google search, boom, thread from Allied modded forums in 2009 of people wanting to ban the fucking weapon or remove the stun. Like, oh my god. And then to point again to the Sandman is like, this is what made the competitive scene split off from the casual scene. No, it's because they want to play a fundamentally different game. They want to play, I'll move this over a little bit so you can actually read it, I apologize. But no, they were here to play a fundamentally different game. They didn't want to play vanilla Team Fortress 2. They did not want the 12v12, all 9 classes present and being able to change the class whatever you want, no limits. No, they didn't want that. They wanted to play a different game. 6v6, class limits, small map pool, that's what they wanted. They even went out of their way to make their own maps for competitive play. They created their own division. They split themselves off. Not Valve, not the vanilla players. Competitive players did this themselves. They created their own game modes. To even imply that it was Valve's fault is insanity. Yeah, the split came from when competitive players decided they wanted to curate a separate experience from Valve's server rule sets. That's it, and that's where it ends. And like, you can just point to this one tidbit of the video, and I can just immediately disregard everything else he has to say, because this just goes to show he didn't do his research. Because he started playing the game after it went free to play. Don't make me use fucking Firefox, man. Oh my god. For whatever reason, whenever I start streaming, Brave just breaks. I don't know why this happens. Alright, give me a second. I'm not even gonna bother. I'm just gonna go ahead and open up a different browser here. I don't know why this happens whenever I try to use a different browser.
But
now. There we go. Now we're in business. Hello.
this could have been fixed with a nerf or by removing it. Instead, Valve started catering to an entirely different free-to-play audience, and things started to degrade.
Like, again, here, he does the thing again, he does this othering, like, oh, they started catering to the free-to-play audience. You mean how 99% of people played the game? Isn't that what developers should be doing? Shouldn't they be catering to how the overwhelming majority of people engage with their game, to keep it fun and to keep it interesting and to maintain the balance that these people expect? Like, that should be the expectation. This shouldn't be a bad thing.
Perhaps this is a subject that warrants more dissection in a future video, but to summarize briefly, the introduction of the monetization system fundamentally changed the entire game, and not necessarily for the better.
Yes, but this doesn't mean that Valve was like, this isn't a competitive versus casual problem. This is Valve seeking out the money problem.
Sure, the player count exploded when the game became free. You could argue that this was a massive success, a huge benefit to the game. You wouldn't even be watching this video if the game wasn't free. I wouldn't have considered playing the game otherwise. But in exchange, the actual gameplay of Team Fortress 2 was neglected to make way for this new system. Players are now required to jump through large hoops just to get access to the game's content.
Again, he didn't do his research because this was a problem before the game even had an in-game economy. Because the only way you could get new weapons starting in 2008 was from achievements. And then they added the crafting system and the item drop system a couple years later. Like, this wasn't a problem with the game going free-to-play or the game adding an economy, right? This was Valve finding more ways for people to get invested into their game so they could keep playing. This video is a very weird diversion. Don't think about how competitive players were the last voice in Valve's ear before they fucked it up into the dirt. Think about how the free-to-play update in the Manconomy. No, yeah, it is a very strange diversion where he's trying to pass the buck to the other 99%.
Did you know that it's literally impossible to obtain every weapon in the game as a free-to-play account?
This is bullshit, and this should not exist, right? All functionally unique weapons should be given to the player by default. I completely agree with this. You should not have to craft them, wait to have them dropped, you shouldn't have to buy them, you should just get them. Especially because there are alternatives that are better than their stock counterparts. They actually affect gameplay, they should not be behind a paywall. These should just be other normal items in your backpack that you cannot craft or trade. No, yeah, and even more egregious are like the $50 weapon packs, which they bump it down to $5 during a sale for a new player, right? Like, a new player doesn't know how trading works, doesn't know how any crafting works. They're like, oh shit, I know there's other weapons in this game. And he's gonna say this in a moment, like, oh yeah, I can watch a video about someone using a different weapon, but I don't have this, so I'm just gonna go buy it, right? Valve has earned a shitload of money off of that, and that is fucking evil. But this has nothing to do with this weird dichotomy he's trying to paint between casual and competitive players. This isn't catering to a vanilla audience because we didn't ask for this. We didn't ask for these functionalities. We just wanted the fun game that is Team Fortress 2. The greedy monetization practices have nothing to do with changes to game balance, changes to the basic fundamentals of how you play and join in a server. It has nothing to do with that.
Unless you wait until Christmas to get one backpack expander per year.
Yeah, and free-to-plays don't like this either, because, and exactly, how are they at fault? Exactly.
Imagine installing the game in January and having to wait 11 months until
because those practices aren't catering to anybody. They're not catering to anyone. No one wants these things. It's catering to themselves, so people give Valve more money. No, yeah, and this video was supposed to be about meme loadouts and meme shit and competitive TF2, and that's what the first 3 hours are about, and I don't give a fuck about that.
It's unacceptable. Many of these weapons are better than stock, or otherwise they're very useful to have as a brand new player.
Yes, and they should be available to everyone as soon as you install this game.
You could argue that
Simple as.
giving new players every single weapon in the game from the start would result in an over-choice problem.
Nope, not at all. There could be the method that I propose, right, is the same way they do it with the Jungle Inferno weapons with the contract. You have the contract, you can do the contract and get the item for free as soon as you start it, right? You don't have to finish the contract, you can just redeem the item from your contracts, but for a new player, it's like, oh, the contract tells you this is what the weapon does, and then you can play with it for a little bit and get like a free hat after you finish the contract, or whatever, right? Or like an achievement or something when you finish the contract. Like, there are very creative and simple ways to introduce players to new weapons, right?
But if that's the case, why have 10 billion items?
There's not 10 billion, there's 160 functional unique items, most of which are relatively well balanced and are fun to use, and a handful that just suck.
A good portion of these weapons serve absolutely zero purpose, are never used by players.
Gee, I wonder why the Bison's no longer used. I wonder why. Couldn't be because Valve handed off the game to a set of people that had no idea what they were messing with. How dare you, how fucking dare you point to the Bison and say, yeah, this thing fucking sucks, quantity's not quality, and to like even imply that we can get rid of it? What the fuck, dude? This weapon used to be good, it was awesome. I'm sorry you play Demo Night and don't know these things, and like never touch these other weapons or classes in the fucking game, but the Bison used to be fucking awesome. And then Valve fucked it. Why? Competitive update.
And just make the game more complicated for no reason.
How is the Thompson complicated? It's a projectile gun. It sucks, but how is the Thompson complicated? You shoot the laser flies. Huh?
They've had to do so much shit to the rocket jumper so then people finally understand that it doesn't do any damage. What the fuck is this?
Yeah,
no random.
Again, this is just true, right? Valve could just say this weapon does no damage, right? I mean, it says it right here. This weapon deals 0 damage, right there, done. It's right there in the text, and that's all it needs to say, right?
Critical hits. That doesn't mean fucking shit. Just have like a fucking description that says this weapon does no fucking damage.
Well, I mean, it does say it in the description right there. But again, this has nothing to do with casual versus competitive play. It has nothing to do with either one.
Valve should have been more careful when adding stuff to this game. It shouldn't have been so willy-nilly, but...
Thing is, not everything was done willy-nilly. A lot of the weapons and stuff, especially the earlier ones going through like 2011, 2012, a decent amount of thought was put behind them, and they're genuinely fun and good items in this game. And they're, of course, like, you know, more of the promotional ones like the Sharpened Volcano Fragment, which has always sucked, and the Sun on a Stick, which has always sucked. There is a small volume of weapons that do just blow and need some kind of attention, right?
Because they had a store to manage, they were incentivized to offload as much junk into the game as they could.
And are you not going to talk about the gambling? Like the weapons, like, you know, the monetizing of weapons and encouraging people to buy the weapons, right? To get people to buy in. That is genuinely evil, but to like paint these as if though these are like the primary moneymakers, no, it's the fucking gambling, it's the hats, it's the toys, right? Not just the weapons. Yeah, SolarLight, that's true. It'd be awesome if more weapons were bangers. Yeah, it would be awesome if more weapons were bangers. If Valve hadn't completely gutted half of them in their updates to appease the competitive players. Man, what a fucking notion!
I can't definitively say what their intentions were with this.
Money. Money. Valve wanted money. It's as simple as that.
Maybe they were just truly incompetent.
No, Valve knew exactly what they were doing. They wanted money.
Maybe they didn't think about the whole new player retention thing. But I can't...
Thing is, it's funny because they did. Robin Walker explicitly stated that new player retention was going to be a hurdle when they were making the game go free to play. Again, if he had done his research, he would have found this. It takes 2 seconds to find that article. But they deliberately ignored it in favor of making money, right? They ignored that in order to make the money. Because remember, TF2 wasn't the game they were really trying to grow at this stage. TF2 was the guinea pig. TF2 was the guinea pig in which they were testing all of the monetization features and what they could or could not get away with, because alongside this, they were developing Dota and Counter-Strike. They were perfecting the monetization models inside of TF2 so they could then translate them over into Counter-Strike. And if you go, and I keep citing this really good talk, not good in that it's in that it relays good things, but it's very informative. You know, one of the Valve employees gave a talk at GDC in 2014 explaining a lot of the things that would work inside of a CSGO market because they had learned from what they had done inside of Team Fortress 2, right? They can't have unique weapon meshes where the weapons are functionally the same but look different because that would confuse players. They acknowledge that moving players, the players themselves, are billboards, right? Yeah, and yes, trading was introduced with Team Fortress 2. TF2 was the test bed for all of these things. The community market was the test bed for TF2, right? All of this was done through Team Fortress 2, and they took those successes and put them into Counter-Strike. It doesn't take that much research to acknowledge and figure out that that's what they were doing.
Ignore the possibility that things were more sinister.
Yeah, thing is, the pay to win set bonuses was again Valve seeing what they could get away with, and then too many people complained, and therefore they got rid of them. Right? They listened to the players in that regard. Man, the concept of listening to the majority of players and how they engage with their game. What a novel concept. That's why they got rid of the pay-to-win item bonuses.
When you're selling a busted item for real money, why would you nerf it?
They nerfed it because...
Why not keep it that way to drive sales?
Okay, listen, that's not gonna fly. Because Valve knows they have to walk a They have to walk a very fine line between selling something that is functionally fair and balanced and also unique. If they did the shit that Overwatch did, where they release a new weapon, right? They release a new weapon, and then they keep it that way until a whole bunch of people buy it, and then nerf it, right? They can't get away with that. People deliberately complained about the Tide Turner, and then they nerfed it appropriately, rightly, and now the Tide Turner is fine. It was fucking broken. It was initially pay to win. And how quickly did they nerf that motherfucker? Hold on. I think very quickly they nerfed it. I have to refresh my memory here. Yeah, they nerfed it a few months later. They nerfed it a few months later. And then they... Then they nerfed it a little bit more in the gun break and the gun metal and tough break updates. So they pretty quickly walked back on the initial OP version of the item. So Overwatch, you know, I meant the characters. They have a new hero, they release it busted, they make a whole bunch of money by people buying into it, and then they nerf it later, right? Very few times has this happened in Team Fortress 2. Like, to cite this example is like, this is the sinister reason for why some things are broken at launch. It's like, oh, Valve just wants to get a bunch of money from people because they want to buy the new OP weapon, when they could also craft it for free or trade for it and get it immediately or get it from the item drop system instantly. It's like, no, that's not the reason. If the only way you could get it was through buying it, then I could believe you.
Why would you not monopolize a brand new, free-to-play, casual audience as hard as possible, even if it's at the expense of the original players who would like the game for what it was? Yes, if you know what you're doing, you'll just trade for the items instead.
He does this weird thing where he like separates the free-to-play audience when by the time the game went free-to-play, it was already vastly different than how the game was at launch. Like, again, he did no research on this. He really should have checked this shit. Within a couple of years, right, by 2009, TF2 was already evolving into something very different than the game was at launch. Just completely different with the addition of weapons, new game modes, what have you. TF2 immediately started evolving because Valve was looking for ways to start making money off of it. This wasn't like a free-to-play, casual, competitive argument. This was a Valve being greedy argument. And of course, they're going to be doing these things to appeal to the overwhelming majority of the players to keep people engaged. But the difference with this too, right, is that they kept all of the same stuff. They kept the vanilla game and only added new things on top of it, right? They didn't take anything away. They didn't fundamentally change how things behave.
But you're only going to do...
If what he said were true, the thermal thruster and hot hand would have not released in a state that was absolute trash. Yes. Alongside a bunch of other weapons that released in a state that was absolute trash. Yes.
Do this if you're well aware of the TF2 economy. If you've just installed the game, you might see the in-game store as the only way. Veterans,
and this is just true, right? If you're a brand new player, you see the store as the only way to get new items, but this has nothing to do with catering towards or not catering towards competitive players.
have to go out of their way to warn new players not to waste their money. The free-to-play backpack experience is dumb, on the same level as muting
Yes.
free-to-play accounts.
Yes, but why are you bringing these things up in this competitive versus casual argument? There's nothing to do with either one.
Counter-Strike manages to be free without locking the AK-47 behind a paywall or a tedious grind.
Again, Valve was testing to see what they can get away with, and they learned that they couldn't get away with that in CSGO if they wanted that game to grow into their big esport.
Yet nobody talks about this because we're all
Hi! I talk about it all the fucking time!
veterans. We all paid up like 10 years ago and forgot about it.
No? Hello?
It's yet another barrier preventing a competitive matchmaking system from ever delivering an optimal experience.
These things are isolated from a broken competitive matchmaking system. They have nothing to do with its functionality. What? Having all of the unlocks doesn't impede your ability to engage with a fucking competitive matchmaking system. That's it.
It's yet another barrier preventing new players from simply enjoying the game. It's yet another thing
That's true.
going to kill the game in the long term if nothing is done.
Thing is, it is amazing that this has been how the game has functioned for I'm not justifying it, don't get me wrong. This is how the game has functioned for like 14, 15 years, right? That isn't what killed the game. What killed the game in the most evident way, like what did the most damage was Valve neglecting Team Fortress 2 after they tried to start catering to competitive players and meet your match. That is what almost killed the game. Not this, not new weapons, not putting them behind paywalls to be greedy, but Valve almost killing the game by trying to cater towards competitive audiences, and not the overwhelming majority of people who engaged with this game. Again, to even imply that these two things, like, to even imply that, like, I need to stop saying that vanilla players and competitive players even have the same amount of weight on the scales here, that we all sit at the same table as equals, is a false notion. It's just not true. Meet Your Match was a mistake and Valve fucked the game with it, but I would never use my platform to advocate for bringing back quick play or fixing matchmaking. Oh, no, sir, no. Instead, he'll bitch and pass the buck to the people that engage with casual mode and anyone that doesn't play competitive. It's so fucked up and warped.
What's that? You just watched an interesting tutorial for a subclass? Have you just learned the basic gist of what every weapon does and you want to give them a try? Too bad.
This
you
is
have
true.
none of his weapons.
Yeah, this is true. This just shouldn't be a thing. But again, has nothing to do with competitive play.
Better pray to RNGesus that you get 10 Demonite drops in a row. I can't be bothered with this.
Yeah, again, this is just evil. But there's no split here with like the whole competitive casual dichotomy, because this affects everyone, right? This affects everyone. Not just vanilla players, but also competitive players. Everyone's affected by this. New and it doesn't matter how you play the game.
I'll just buy the Demoman class pack. That's what Valve wants new players to think. They've probably earned millions of dollars from this.
Yes, and it's evil.
The fact of the matter is, if Valve added a functioning competitive matchmaking system in 2007 or 2008, it likely would have succeeded.
I mean, yeah, if Team Fortress 2 was a fundamentally different game at launch, we would be playing a fundamentally different game today. Like, obviously, yes, if TF2 was 6v6 and had class limits and weapon bans, or no weapons at launch, and it just stayed that way, and that's what people are used to, and that's the game people came for, then yeah, we would be playing a very different game than we would be today, but that's not what Team Fortress 2 was designed for. TF2 wasn't designed for competitive matchmaking. It came from the era out before esports. Well, not before esports, but before esports were a big marketing ploy to earn shitloads of money. And it's just like, this is what Valve did with Counter-Strike, right? Because CSGO was launched to be an esport, fundamentally different than Counter-Strike Source and the other Counter-Strike games that came before it, which were markedly more casual games. They completely changed how people engage with Counter-Strike because they wanted that to grow into an esport. It is different. It is a different game than its predecessors. And naturally, yeah, if Valve had treated TF2 as an esport from day one, as a competitive game from day one, yeah, we would be playing a very different game now, but that's not what happened because that's not what TF2 is designed to be.
Players could have been given every weapon by default.
And that should have just been the case, right? Everyone should have access to all the weapons. But again, has nothing to do with making the game functional for competitive esports.
Just like how the TF2 Classic mod handles its own weapons. There wouldn't have been as many weapons, so no overchoice problem. The much discussed gap between casual and competitive play would have been non-existent.
Yeah, because it would have been a fundamentally different game, right? So he says, weapons, same, but they ban a bunch of weapons because they want to play a different game, right? They want to play a different game. Map pool, a minor difference in the map pool? What? Competitive players ban the overwhelming majority of maps in the game and have done so, and have played their own maps. They make their own maps for competitive play. That's stupid. Oh my god.
Valve would
Some of the weapons are the same, the ones they don't ban.
have been free to
Or the ones they don't ignore, because they're not the meta.
dictate the rule set and map pool as they pleased. The game was much simpler back then, so keeping the two experiences similar would have been a much easier task.
Yeah, but again, this means that Valve would have needed different goals for Team Fortress 2. This wasn't their goal. Their goal was to make a fun game that appealed to as many people as possible, not a competitive esport.
There were
You're advocating for a completely different game here. Like, you're wanting a different experience than what vanilla TF2 is made to be.
not as many maps and game modes in the game, so the player base wouldn't be as fragmented. There would simply be more players playing the competitive matchmaking queue, and you wouldn't be sitting there waiting for 10 hours.
It is really sad how much he wants TF2 to be a competitive game. It is sad. And listen, I do feel for competitive players in this regard, where they really just want their experience to be, more popular so they can play it more consistently. I understand that. That does suck. And I do understand that they wanted some kind of support for the base game, but it's not what people come to TF2 for. People never came to, I shouldn't say never. The overwhelming majority of people came to Team Fortress 2 for the vanilla game as it was on launch, right? The 12v12, chaotic, fun experience where you can do what you want as you pleased with as much or as little coordination, as much or as little effort as you desire. That is the experience that people come for in Team Fortress 2. And if Valve, indeed, had marketed the game where it incentivized players to always try their hardest and to be hyper-competitive, yeah, then you would have a bunch of people playing this game as a competitive one, but we would not be playing the same game today. It'd be very different. It would not be the Team Fortress 2 that we all know, let alone the game that we know that as it was on launch.
The optimal classes in both 12v12 and 6v6 were very similar. The major differences
Probably. No. I like how he just pulls this out of his ass and then presents this as if though it was the truth. Have you ever played Dust Bowl? Have you ever played any of the TF2 launch maps and see what people pick and play? It's not this. It's not a fucking meta. What? Yeah, they're very, no bias here whatsoever. No engineers on these maps. No fucking spies or snipers. Hello? Occasional off-classing like 6v6, maybe sniper. Oh, just maybe. And totally not engineer, which is far more powerful with larger team sizes. Spy, who is far more powerful with large team sizes. Sniper, who is far more powerful with large team sizes because he can cower behind them. No, none of these and Pyro, who's far more powerful on these other maps and with large team sizes that can play for distraction. No, sorry. These classes, off-classing, maybe Sniper. No, that's not how the game played at launch. All of the classes were mostly played. You can look at the popularity list of who was played. Medic was played the least. Medic was not the meta. People fucking hated playing Medic. Right? Medic was not the meta, and people weren't even playing for a meta. People were playing to have fun. And also heavy too, of course. But people were not playing to win. They were playing to have fun first, and winning came second, because that's the game. That's what TF2 was designed to be.
were how many of them you used per team. The original 6 maps were smaller, and often played better in smaller team sizes regardless.
Not really, no.
There's a rumor
They're way more fun. Fucking Dust Bowl is awesome. Gravel Pit is awesome. Hydro is amazing with 32 players. Try playing Hydro 6v6. That just sucks. Oh, the rounds end so quickly because there's not enough people to take up enough space to prevent people from flanking and capping a point, and then you lose. Yes, yeah, 6v6 2-4 doesn't sound completely barren.
Theory that the game was originally designed to be 8v8, only swapping to 12v12 within the last month of playtesting,
it's just not
right before the game
true.
launched. There's no concrete proof.
That's just not true, because if you go look at all of the default settings for all of Valve's games, they're all 24-player servers. The only place that was 8v8 was consoles, Xbox and PlayStation. But the likely reason why this was the case is because consoles had significantly more limitations than a computer did in terms of internet connection stability and being able to host a server. Not to mention, players would host their own servers on their consoles, which had far more limited resources than a PC. So in all likelihood, a fucking console could only handle 16 players, 16 ports, or however it fucking works, right? This was like, this is insanity. To even suggest that Valve's playtesting with only like 6v6 or 8v8 because that's how many people they had in the office, and not because they didn't have, and not because, and to even imply that this is evidence that TF2 was originally meant to have smaller team sizes is simply not true. Otherwise, Valve would have launched the game in a completely different state. This is wild to even imply.
This, so take this with a massive grain of salt.
No, this just isn't true. It's not. This isn't even something that you can apply salt on to make it more palatable. This is just not true.
But there are enough weird testimonies.
Like, he didn't even consider that, oh yeah, the Xbox in 2007 may not have the fucking power to host a 24-player server. Ah! Oh my god.
Coincidences that make it seem plausible. Valve liked the 8v8 team size enough for it to be used several times within the game, even after launch.
Because this is the shit that they were practicing with. They made this
Looking
shit
for
to practice
screenshots and
with and
footage,
test it.
I
It
was
wasn't
not
the
able to
default.
Find any proof of a 12v12
Only in
server
consoles
before
was it the
September
default.
of 2007. If we assume that the 8v8
TF2 on launch was 12 versus 12. That was the default. If you go look at all you have to do, you had the massive repo leak, right? If you just looked at that massive repo leak, guess what you would see? The default setting for a fucking TF2 server at 24 players. Instead of like making this idea of like, oh, before this date, it could have been 8v8. No, it was always 24 players. Do your fucking research. It's not that hard. God. Yes, Richter, DM me your autism.
conspiracy theory is true, the 6v6 team size is a hell of a lot closer to the original intended experience than
8 is closer to 6. Therefore, TF2 is meant to be 6v6. Oh my god. He is so desperate. He is grasping at straws. Holy shit. This is just pathetic. It really is. Oh my god. This is wild. I agree. The amount of cope is fucking crazy. It's not that deep, dude. Valve intentionally released the game as 12 versus 12 because that's the game they wanted to release. And that's what people came for and continue to come for almost 18 years. And consistently, no matter how much they're told, no matter how much they're informed, no matter how many fun videos they see like yours, a tiny, tiny minority of players are interested in any kind of competitive format. And no matter what you do, you will never make it seem as if though that's what people come for in the majority. No matter what you do. No matter what Valve does, because that is not the game that TF2 was designed to be. Competitive formats had to go make their own versions of the game to create the experiences they wanted. Insane levels of cope with this. Here we go. Screenshots from an internal Valve playtest to prove they were testing the game with at least 9 versus 9. Thank you, Richter! Man, you are such a saint! 18 player names can be seen. Boone, Kirchmer, Jacob, Wild Zero, Hamish, Lombardi, Eric J, Dario, Finalito 81, Lombardi, Playtester, John M, R. Keith, Stephen K, Jeff Lane, 16, Driller, and John C. Oh, holy moly, look, they were playtesting it with more than 8 versus 8 SolarLight. Oh, look, it's the Valve archive, which takes 2 fucking seconds to find. Here's your evidence, you dipshit. It's not that hard. It's like a shitload of donations just came in at once, I'm sorry. Let me start from the top. In my honest opinion, TF2 as for today is quite well balanced, having only around 20 weapons that need immediate attention, making it 12 to 13% of indeed bad weapons. No, yeah, I agree. The rest can stay as is or needs a slight number of tweaks. I agree. TF2's balancing state is mostly good for the vanilla game, and only a small handful of the weapons need some kind of attention. I need whatever he was smoking while making this. Dude, me too. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to fucking get through this entire stream. Something makes me think the mode that breaks 5 of the 9 classes isn't how the game was meant to be played. Shocker, exactly! When you need to... when the intended balancing of 5 of the 9 classes completely changes by having the team sizes to 6... Oh no, that's not the fucking sign that you need that TF2 was designed to be 6v... That wasn't designed to be 6v6. No, sir, obviously not. My god. No shit, 8 is next to 6. Yeah, fucking stupid. It was indeed 24 players at launch on console. Videos terrible. Can we skip? I thought it was 18 on launch for console. I'm pretty sure it was 8, or yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 8v8 on console. I might be wrong, but I know it wasn't 24. Everyone doing super chat, so I am too. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. But I don't think it was 24 versus 24. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I think Richter can confirm that it was not 24 players on launch on console. Pretty sure. So, this is probably one of the least... I don't even know what he was thinking with this one. I mean, obviously he wasn't thinking. He wasn't thinking. Like, he states at the beginning of the section, like, the video's ending, I'm just gonna put gameplay in the background. So he just goes on this rambling without providing any evidence of any kind and carrying these crazy implications. No, yeah, exactly. And Richter makes a good point. It doesn't matter, because Team Fortress 2 isn't and has never been a game designed for consoles. The console versions were retroactively made after the PC version was done. Or at least close to when the PC version was done. These things came afterwards, right? TF2 was always designed to be a PC game, with 24 players.
Modern TF2 is. As for whether the meta class composition is what Valve intended to happen,
it's just not true. What they intended was the 9 classes they designed.
I can't say. Do we even like TF2, or do we like Valve's modified version of it?
Oh my god. Here he flips it. Here he flips it to imply that the Scout Demo Soldier Medic meta was the intended way to play, and then Valve retroactively modified that to incorporate larger team sizes and the other 5 classes. Dude. It was competitive all along, guys! He had to have been on something, or he just was so delirious in his lack of sleep when editing and putting this video together. Like, holy god, dude. Yeah, just make your own game at this point. I mean, he's doing like a pastime thing. Like he doesn't want to play vanilla TF2, right? He gets into it sometimes, but he's not here for that experience, right? He's not here for that experience.
Is it fair to say that 6v6 isn't TF2 when the modern TF2...
It's not TF2, fundamentally, because smaller team sizes and class limits and weapon bans is not what vanilla Team Fortress 2 is. Plain and simple, at launch. Like, at launch, without unlocks, without any balance changes, just launch Team Fortress 2. With 12 versus 12, with all 9 classes, fundamentally is a different game. Down to its balancing, down to its pacing, down to the experience, is fundamentally different than what competitive players wanted when they made 6v6. That is the dividing line. Not all the unlocks and shit Valve threw in, not all the balance changes in later years, the competitive players created a different game.
TF2 we play is not representative of the original product either.
No, it's not, obviously, right? Because the vanilla version of TF2 we play today is very different than the vanilla version at launch. But both of these things are wholly antithetical and completely different to how competitive TF2 plays.
Oh, but the updates are sanctioned by Valve, so it's not a mod. But it did fundamentally change the entire game into something it wasn't, so...
What? To even imply that unlocks fundamentally changed the game into something that it was like... I'm honestly at a loss for words now. I am at a complete loss. He's flipping these same arguments, right? He's flipping all the arguments people use against competitive Team Fortress 2 and is trying to paint any version of the vanilla game as equal to that, as equal to these arguments being applied to competitive play. Yeah, again, competitive play changes how the game functions at a fundamental level, completely ignoring unlocks and completely ignoring class balance, right? Just having the team sizes drastically changes the game. Yeah, wait, so unlocks that change the game are radical differences? Wait, I thought that the Sandman created that split. Good point, Richter!
How do we treat this? Is it fair to say that a weapon rebalance server is classic TF2 when in fact it's not classic TF2? Is TF2 Classic a faithful representation of classic TF2? Some would say no, but it's still fun.
Classic Team Fortress 2, in my opinion, is just the game at launch. Like, that is the classic experience. Like, if you want just vanilla TF2, that is the classic experience. The closer you get to that launch point is the closer you get to a classic TF2 experience.
Fun? People still have fun with it. Was Team Fortress 2 always silly? Most of the funny taunts didn't exist in 2007. Payload, the game mode that some of you
Yeah, TF2 was made more silly for the sake of making money.
only play, was not in the game when it launched.
Okay, what does this have anything to do with catering towards competitive play? What does any of this have to do with dealing with catering towards competitive play?
Hero's shift as a character is an entirely different can of worms. He wasn't always cute. The game had a unique art style, but it took itself somewhat seriously.
It's so insane that he's like grasping at all these different straws and is trying to bring them in as if all of these changes have anything to do with competitive play.
Sure, players could
Yeah, exactly. How does any of this affect competitive play?
goof off, but
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, why is he appropriating Chud talking points? Because he's trying to appeal to the other side of the aisle, right?
they had more limited means to do so. The gameplay is what kept players coming. Not the taunts, not the conga, not even the hats.
No, that's true. People keep coming back to TF2 because the game is good. People come for the vanilla experience. They come for the 12v12. They come for the 9 classes.
It's the most fun you could have online. That being said, what the hell even is TF2 anymore? Can you really blame competitive players for being so conservative?
Oh, now they're the conservatives. Now they're the ones that want to preserve how the game was meant to be. Now they're the glorious and righteous ones that are fighting back against Valve changing things for the worse. Oh, dear God, you fucking hypocrite.
Part of me wonders what would have happened if Valve paid more attention
Yeah,
to
exactly. I thought conservatism was evil, right?
the art style of the game.
Yeah, I think we gotta, dox and harass SolarLight for hating on these hard-working workshoppers for making so much great content for us.
If they took greater care when selecting new maps for the map pool and didn't add too many at once.
No, yes, and
If they made more
these are all problems, but they have nothing to do with competitive play.
Choices when adding cosmetics. If they were more careful with weapon design. Like not giving scouts a stun mechanic, complete idiocy.
Overwatch.
Not like any of this matters nowadays, though. At this point, moving forward, the player base is only here for mod.
Okay, yeah, by the way, everything I just said, it doesn't matter. Fuck it, doesn't matter.
Modern TF2. It's the only TF2 they've ever known. So in that sense, Valve should make the game playable for both sides.
Yes, let's have 5% of the player base be held to the same weight as the other 95%. Yes, let's cater to both of these. No, fuck off. That's all you have to say to these people is no. fuck off. Because the last time they did that, look what happened to the fucking game. They broke it and then left it that way. Go play your own versions of TF2. You are free to do this. You have your own servers, you have your own custom balancing, you have your own leagues, you have your own groups. You can do this and have been allowed to do this freely and openly for fucking 18 years. Just keep doing that and stop demanding for the vanilla game to be catered to your whims and desires. Because consistently, every time you do this, the game gets fucked. No. Fuck off.
Prioritize the casual player base because they are the majority after all, but
Yes, and that's how it should be done.
don't make reckless changes that ruin the game's balance. Let players enjoy.
This has to be bait. Like, this can't be real, right? Again, when the majority of the most controversial balance changes came as a result of Valve trying to cater towards competitive play. And of course, I have to say this, right? I have to say this. The specific changes competitive players did not ask for, but they absolutely influenced Valve to start making these changes because they wanted to cater towards their own competitive mode and the vanilla game and try to strike a balance between these things, right? That's what they wanted to do. But it all came from the influence that competitive players had. And to even imply that the most fucked version of game balance that we have, which is right now, is anywhere near the vanilla player's fault is insanity. It's insanity.
Enjoy both sides of the coin. As long as Valve provides.
You've always been allowed to enjoy both sides of the fucking coin. You've had these freedoms to do so for 18 fucking years. Just keep doing that. Like, I'm sorry your competitive formats aren't more popular, but that's not why people come to play Team Fortress 2.
A satisfying product for everyone, we can stop arguing, but
Ah, yes, make it for everyone, because that's always a really good fucking idea, isn't it? Let's water down the product to appeal to everybody and completely subvert and annihilate the game's identity in order to appeal to people who were not interested in playing this game in the first place. Yes, great fucking idea, you nincompoop. You fucking Nimrod, you goddamn slack-jawed halfwit. Look where that gets so many other products. Look where that gets so many other games and movies and shows and so many things. Look at what happens when they try to cater towards people that were not interested in the first place. They fucking ruin it consistently. Oh.
they haven't done that. They've screwed up, and that's their fault. We
Yes,
should be
it is.
holding them accountable.
We should be holding Valve accountable more often. I agree, with more than just fucking their fuck up with Meet Your Match, but that should be the priority.
If bringing back quick play is what will make casual players happy, then sure, I'm with that.
Good.
It
would. It would make the vast majority of players happy, I guarantee it. As soon as they were to engage with the new system and have reasonably fun and balanced games more often, yeah, bring back quick play. That would make people happy.
Personally disagree is the nonsensical buffing of items that already function fine in a casual environment.
The only one he points towards is like the base jumper, right? In his mind, if you can use it and get kills with it, therefore it's okay. Even though it is consistently the weakest option and least used option from everything else, right? Because he can use it and he can get kills with it and have fun with it, therefore it's okay. Just put it back! Just put them back! That's all we ask, is put back all the fucking shittily nerfed items back to their old state. That's all we want.
You know what I did when I was faced with a truly insurmountable number of nerfs? I continued regardless.
I graciously continued. Oh, in the face of the game's balance being utterly fucked, I just dealt with it. Fuck
Because
you, dude.
Demonite is fun.
It's still fun to me. It's fun, right? It's fun, so why do you care? There it is. There it is. It's fun. It's fun, therefore it's okay. That sentiment has done more damage to more games and products in the past 10 years than anything else. It's fun, therefore it's okay. Just stop caring. Why do you care?
I pushed forward, despite some people telling me no. I personally believe that more people should try playing the game in unconventional ways. Competitive players should be more respectful to teams that are off-classing, and casual.
He really just wants to, like, all this amounts to is he just wants to play Demo Knight in competitive mode without getting laughed out of the room. That's it. Your community has not changed, our experience has. The competitive community mourns missed potential. We mourn a game that was unplayable for 7 years. Thank you, Richter.
Players should try using more items once, instead of begging for buffs.
We ask for reversions and buffs because the weapons were changed into a state that are not fucking fun, or completely suck compared to the other unlocks. That's why we ask for these things. No one likes the fucking base jumper because it fucking blows to use, compared to its previous version, which was infinitely more fun and still balanced. And then all the other weapons they nerfed into the floor for no fucking reason. Yeah, you can still use them and have a little bit of fun with them, but that doesn't make them good. It doesn't make them okay in comparison to the other fucking unlocks. Yeah, don't question no questions, no denials, just play with it and it's fine.
I have always advocated for...
Yeah, when was the last time you saw anybody using the base jumper? When was the last time you saw anybody using the caber? Once, maybe twice over the past month? There's a reason why people don't fucking use these things. Because they suck!
Novel ways of playing TF2. I don't need aim assist or tons of buffs to do that. As long as something is usable to a reasonable degree.
There, as long as it's usable, it's fine.
Which it is.
So then by that logic, the Sharpened Volcano Fragment, the Sun on a Stick, and all these other weapons that are fucking terrible, they're usable to a reasonable extent, therefore they're okay. Even though you said that quantity is not quality, and earlier in the video, just remove half the weapons in the game. Okay, now it's fine.
I don't
kind of going back on your point there.
Understand the complaining.
No, yeah, and right. And listen, I agree. Not every item has to be perfectly the same, right? If you try to make every item equally viable, a lot of fun goes away. But when you nerf a shitload of things to the point where they are never fun, that's not good. Bring them up a little bit, just put them back. All you have to do is put them back.
I need to say one final thing. If you intend to copy my shenanigans and play Demo Knight in a competitive league, or any other
No one will, sorry. Like, I know that's your goal here, SolarLight, is to create a greater intrigue in not only competitive play, but also trying different ways to play competitive TO2, you're going to fail. Because the fucking meta for competitive 6v6 has basically been the same for over a decade, and it's not going to change because of your video. You will continue to get laughed out of the room as the one guy that wants Demo Knight to be viable in competitive 6v6, the melee-only subclass. It's just not going to happen, man. And I feel for you, it sucks to not have no place to go. It blows. I mean, I resonate with you a little bit because the way I enjoyed playing the game was taken away from me in 2016, so I feel you there. But you're not going to get the result you want. You're certainly not going to get it by patronizing and demeaning the 99% of people that play this game in this horrible conclusion of your video. Like, you're not going to succeed that way.
For that matter. I highly advise experimenting with one of the meta classes first. I did not go into this video while blind. I had prior experience with the Sticky Bomb launcher for multiple seasons. Granted, this was 7 years ago, but those experiences still helped. My teammates were also quite good, and to be honest, I got carried in some cases. I can't guarantee that your off-classing journey will go well, but if you intend to try it, it's good to understand how the other classes play. I understand that you might not enjoy Scout, Soldier, or Demo, but playing these classes is a necessary step for getting good at the game, even in casual mode. I do think the lack of scrims could be solved if enough mean...
You can basically pick any class. There are more forgiving classes than the fucking meta classes to get good at the game. It's all just begging for people to play comp.
Teams started signing up at the same time because then they could scrim each other, but I really can't guarantee anything long term. I was going to play the conclusion from here, but you know what? No, I'm still mad. This
Here comes the seething, here comes the good part.
comment is still beyond stupid. If you really want to blame competitive players for meeting match, then by that logic, wouldn't the casual scene be responsible for the vast majority of things wrong with TF2?
He does this intentionally to piss you off, right? He says this, he's doing this to elicit a response, when no one asked for this. No one asked for this at all. As opposed to competitive players, for years, nagging and bitching in Valve's ear for official competitive support. That's the difference. Yeah, the meta is a bit stale, right? Yeah, this is just monumentally
Valve
stupid.
catered to them for the vast majority of TF2's life. Wouldn't it make sense? No.
No, it doesn't make sense. Your argument doesn't make sense here because they didn't ask for these things. Just like competitive players didn't ask for this. But to completely dismiss the influence competitive players had the direct interactions that competitive players had with Valve and absolutely feeding into their confirmation bias that official in-game matchmaking was a good idea. Of course, they didn't ask for the specifics, right? They didn't ask for the specifics, they didn't ask for casual mode, but they absolutely influenced Valve's direction when it came to handling this game. If Valve didn't have these guys constantly in their ear and in their offices, having lunch with them and talking about how a competitive matchmaking system should go, and having them tested at their offices, and also absolutely talking about weapons that go unused and things like that, which absolutely went over into the weapons that got fucking nerfed, you know? To say that there was no influence, to say that no blame can be put on the people that were in their fucking ear is just silly. Right? Ultimately, it's Valve's decisions, right? Valve went forward with these things. It was their ultimate switch that they flipped. But to say that competitive players had no influence, right? To say there was no influence is foolish. None. And again, the difference is that vanilla players weren't asking Valve for these things. And a lot of the problems, some of them simply are not real, like moving away from 8v8 is simply not true. Not a thing. Insane.
In fact, I'm pretty sure most of you will reject this list on sight. Some of the things I put on here are absolutely beyond stupid, but that's also the point I'm trying to make. I mean, if competitive players are responsible for Valve's actions, then anytime Valve fucks up for the sake of casual players, we should hold them accountable, right?
It's not even a fair comparison at all. When also the bots were facilitated by the casual mode that came out of the update that was catering towards competitive players. Like, even in your attempt in Ragebait to, like, try and pin the existence of bots onto the normal player base. Again, when competitive players were in Valve's ear asking for these updates, right? Asking for this official support. Insanity.
Do you ever see any fresh install players complaining that they can't talk in chat? Because, casual players asked for a bot fix and got exactly what they wanted and ruined the game? No.
You can't even compare these things. You cannot even begin to compare.
Says that because we all mutually understand that this is not the ideal outcome that we wanted. Valve did something completely different that we weren't expecting.
Yes, and he's right about that when it came down to the competitive play, but again, when it came to them being in their fucking ear constantly, right? And even then, the reason why Valve, and that wasn't even like a fix, right? Valve slapped on those band-aids because game journalists were getting on their ass, right? That's why Valve muted free-to-plays, because no-no words like the N-word were being said in in-game chat, and game journalists, back when they had a little bit too much power, were getting on Valve's case, so they stepped in and muted free-to-plays. This had nothing to do with players asking them for anything. That decision was completely isolated from players.
And rightfully so, Valve does get flack for this. But when it comes to the inclusion of casual mode and the replacement of quick play, something that happened under very similar circumstances, where Valve
It's not even similar circumstances. Again, when you had these people in for years asking for Valve for some kind of support. He makes the dichotomy into dumb, tasteless regular players versus restrained competitive players, and there's nothing in between. Exactly, yeah. It's a complete unfair representation. It's insanity to like just hand wave away the influence competitive players had.
Did something out of the blue. Now it's time to blame the competitive scene for Valve's actions that we had no way of knowing about.
It is completely fair to acknowledge the influence these players had. It is completely fair to put some, not all, some of the blame on them. For the specifics, no. But for their influence, yes.
Trolling. What? It shocks me the lengths people go to bootlick $1 billion.
Oh, and now if you do this, you're a Valve bootlicker. You're a bootlicker, guys, if you're upset with these things.
Company. No, multi-billion-dollar company. They will do anything except blame the company. They have to find someone else.
No, we blame the company too. Don't worry.
Scapegoat.
We blame them too.
I'm not asking you to suddenly drop pubs and play sixes.
Yes, you are. Like you spend 3 hours begging people to do this.
What I am asking is for you to use your brain.
Here we go again with the patronizing and, what have you, like diminishing these guys. Like, oh, you're just stupid. Use your brain. You're just fucking stupid for even beginning to think that competitive players had any fault towards this. No, you're just fucking stupid. Use your brain. I'm smarter than all of you.
Hold Valve accountable. That is all.
Probably one of the worst videos I have seen in regards to Team Fortress 2. And I don't even need to watch the whole thing. Just that 20-minute section is all I need to know that the rest of the video can be immediately dismissed and discarded. We don't need to watch any more of this. Damn, son. We get it. You like competitive TF2. You want this to be the thing. You wanted TF2 to be an esport, but sorry, it's not what the game was made for. Stick to your own servers. Stick with that shit. It's what y'all should have just fucking done the entire time. What you guys should have done. What you guys should have done. Because let's face it, right? Let's face it. The real reason why competitive TF2 didn't take off is a lack of this. Money. People wanted sponsors. They wanted sponsors. They wanted the biggest reason why people engage with competitive play to be present in Team Fortress 2. They wanted this. They wanted the money. You should have just asked Valve, hey, can you sponsor our tournaments, and pressured them for that a little bit more. Like, if they had put up like a 20 grand prize pool or like a 50 grand prize pool for TF2, you would have seen an explosion in people playing competitive Team Fortress 2 overnight if that prize pool was announced. But because there was always like sub 15k prize pools that after travel and room and board got split apart, you basically either broke even or went in the red for any competitive LAN or tournament. People don't fucking do it. It's not worth their time. The only people that play competitive TF2 now are the ones that do it for the genuine love of these competitive modes. And that's awesome, right? That's awesome. You love it. You love playing these things. That's fine and great. Just fucking go for it. But they were asking Valve for the wrong things. I missed donations, I'm sorry, let me go back through these. It's really weird that he's positioning competitive players as the art style police. I've seen what you guys make your game look like. The whole comparison and presentation is fucked up and nonsensical. SolarLight, does your pastime game fit the art style? No, yeah, exactly. You know, like, does it fit your conservative vision of Team Fortress 2? Obviously not, because he doesn't want to play Team Fortress 2. He wants to play something else. Let's see. All this to admit that Demo Night is not broken. Real Meet Your Match has never been tried. Yeah, funny. One thing I'd like to point out is that he's using music from Zenless Zone Zero in this segment, basically a Coomer game. Sure, but he probably doesn't even know what the game is and just picked out some music. If he does play ZZZ, that'd be hilarious. You will not be responsible for your influence and actions. Yes, sir. Another 5, because I want to scream this. A competitive update exactly as Six's players wanted would be equally as bad as Valve's Meet Your Match fumble. Actually, no. Because if players... Thing is, we don't even know exactly what they wanted. If they just wanted official in-game matchmaking as a separate game mode, it would have just died, right? Maybe you would have gotten a few more players in there in like its own separate NVM walled-off game mode that you can go play if you wanted to, and they just left the vanilla game as is, right? And they did their own balancing, and they did their own rule sets and what have you. If they had done that its own separate game mode, yeah, you would have seen a boost in players, but it wouldn't have taken off as like the replacement, and like it wouldn't have been like a clean 50-50 split between normal players and competitive players. It'd be like people who engage with MVM or every other smaller niche way, alternative way to play TF2. It always appeals to a small minority, again, because people come for the vanilla experience and not these other offshoots. In the spirit of Team Fortress 2 was fun to... In the spirit of how TF2 was originally created, please innovate and make a different game. Don't drag other people through your fantasy of a fun competitive game that only you will like. There you go. What's in those mustard cupcakes anyhow? Copium? Lead? Probably both. Have I seen the 2 Fort remake videos? I'm probably not going to watch them because they're just silly and I'm not really interested in that. SolarLight, just play Fortnite at this point. I think you just stick to your fucking own servers, man. Stick to your own servers. Stick to your competitive formats. It's just... Oh my god. Again, just a fucking awful video. Truly, truly an awful video. If Meet Your Match just added competitive and everything remained the same otherwise, nothing would have changed. Exactly. Because Valve would have realized, oh, this is no longer... Even if they created a competitive matchmaking mode exactly as competitive players wanted, that had the right rule sets, that had the right weapon bans, that had the class limits, if they put it in there exactly as they wanted, again, you would have seen a little bit of a bump in interest, but as I explained in my Meet Your Match video, competitive players always controlled their own environments, right? They always control their own servers, they control their own balancing, things they could change from season to season, and then to place their expectations on Valve to like maintain this and do it for them, right? To like have an experience that closely resembled their own community servers is foolish. Because if they're going to relinquish that control over to Valve, then it creates an even bigger disconnect between what they expect and what Valve's going to do, right? It still would have flopped and failed because Valve would have never been consistent in keeping up with the different rule sets from different leagues from around the world. It just wouldn't have worked out because there was no standardized version for competitive play. Even if they placed in the most common rules of like class limits and like the most common weapon bans, right? That would have again created some intrigue, but would it have translated to more people going over to community-operated competitive modes? And would it have ever flourished into a full-blown esport? No, it would have ended up like man versus machine. Again, because that's not what people come for TF2 for. This is not what people come to TF2 for. Simple as that. So, there you go. We can move on to the what show. We're off to a great start. I'm going to take a quick restroom break. You guys do the same. I got to piss. And then we can continue. I'll be right back. Alrighty, we're back. Hello, we can continue. Richter, do you want to hop on? You want to get in the call for a second? You want to get in the call for a second? It's your birthday. We can all tell Richter happy birthday. Want me to call you? Just DM me if you want me to, and we can chat for a moment. We can talk for a second if you want. Richter.
Hello. Hear me? How's it going?
I was gonna be turning you up a little bit. What's up, man? Happy birthday.
Yes. Volume check. You can hear me? Everything's okay?
Yep, the levels are good. Happy birthday, my friend. I didn't know it was your birthday today.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, I just turned 22. I'm officially Unk. I'm Unk there overtime
No,
now.
shut up.
It's kind of fucked up now.
Do not label yourself as Unk when you're
I'm going to start sounding like you
old.
soon enough, Zesty, and be like, my bones started hurting, and it was just, they didn't stop. And it's like, oh my God. I'm going to start sounding like you.
Richter, please. You are still so fucking young. Come on. Oh my God,
bro, that is a really bad video. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched the whole thing. I know that's like dumb, but the parts that I've seen have all been like exceedingly bad. And like, I'm sure SolarLight is a nice guy, but I just like everything here.
No,
is
he's
weird.
not. At least not towards
the way
me.
The way he presents all of this is just so strange. It's so weird. Like, why is it like the competitive players are defending true TF2? Has like never really been there. That's like the only thing he hinges his entire perspective on is like Valve fucked both of us, and it's like, yeah, but you guys had the last laugh. They listened to you, and then they fucked everybody. Like that's the whole point. It's like they went out on the note of like caping for competitive players, right?
No, yeah,
that's the last thing they did.
No, yeah, and you're right.
So then
and
we had to endure that, and then like Valve fucked the game in the name of competitive players, which obviously isn't entirely their fault, right? Like it's
Obviously,
more
yeah.
Valve's fault than anybody's.
Of course.
But then the fact that then we still have to like hear bitching from competitive communities is just so it's so annoying because this has never even been that big of a scene for TF2 or on the stage of competitive scenes.
No, yeah,
like,
exactly.
Nobody fucking cares about any of that. It's like silly.
No, yeah, exactly. And to have the fucking gall to keep complaining and bitching and trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? And vying for their we are trying to be the real version. Please cater towards us.
Your chat gave me so many happy birthday wishes, and Greg, and thank you all for that so much.
You guys are great.
That was a lot of happy birthdays.
You guys are great. Thank you. You guys are too kind for wishing this man his happy birthday. But shit, I lost the thought I was going to say.
Also, even if we like grant his straw man of like casual players or the retards who gave us Banana Hat, right? Like even if let's grant that. Let's do comp players gave us Meet Your Match, and casual players gave us like the fucked up art style and the unbalanced weapons, right? I would still take the unbalanced weapons and the fucked up art style over Meet Your Match. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, completely.
To me, that's still less damage. Like that barely makes it, and that's not even like a fair point. That it still barely helps them. Like
no, yeah, exactly. And what else too? It's like they not only got the last laugh, they got like the double last laugh because how they played competitive wasn't changed. They all played on their own servers to begin with, whereas the way everyone else engaged with the vanilla game was changed completely. We had nowhere to go because all of our community servers got fucking killed by Meet Your Match. Like, we didn't even have the option to go elsewhere to avoid the mess that they made. While they just went back to their own servers and kept playing the version of TF2 they had been playing since 2008.
I crunched some numbers, Zesty. Do you know how many people are in the RGL Discord?
No, I don't.
It's 13,000.
Okay.
Now, I want to put that into perspective. 13,000 sounds like a lot, right?
Yeah.
So RGL, I'm pretty sure that's like the main competitive, what you call a service or whatever.
I think that's chat. I don't know if anyone in my chat knows, but I'm pretty sure that's the biggest league right now is RGL. It's not ETF2L. So, I don't think it's not ETF2L.
And they've been around since 2015, right?
I think longer than that.
No, I'm pretty sure they were created because like Valve was fucking up the game. I think.
I don't remember.
And it was like right as all the bounce changed. I don't know. I don't know the history.
They've been around for a while, yeah.
My point is, put into perspective, 13,000 people are in that Discord, right?
Yep.
There are 30,000 people in the Team Fortress 2 Classic Discord. So we're talking about giant decisions made for the entire player base to appease a community that's half the size of TF2 Classic. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
Is that like?
No, it's not crazy at all. It's not insanity to label that as crazy, right? It would be the same level of lunacy of like trying to balance the game around versus Saxton Hale.
It's not quite that bad because they are still playing with like, it's a lot of the same maps, the same weapons.
Well, no, yeah, of course, but it's still appeasing a different game.
What really frustrates me about that video is just like, here's when Valve created the split. And it's like, no, you're ontologically competitive TF2, not just TF2. Like, and then he tries to like make it that casual TF2 is a different thing from TF2. It's like, this is fucking stupid. This entire argument is stupid.
Yeah, to try and split off the casual audience as something that is not true TF2. When the word casual is being misused left and right. Casual is just the vanilla game, right? That's what it should be. Is the vanilla TF2 is what casual is, right? Because people approach the game casually because that's what the game was designed to be. But you're right, he does this thing where he splits off casual players as those like, oh, you're not really wanting the vanilla game.
Like, while we're actually, we've spent too long talking about what poop eaters have done. We need to talk about what the class of non-poop eaters have done. It's like, well, that's just normal. That's a normal. That doesn't need a classification. That's like a normal person.
No, yeah,
not
exactly.
Not that playing comp is eating poop, but like it's the same kind of like redundancy. It doesn't. Yeah, it needs nothing. It needs nothing to say you're a casual player. That's like that's normal.
Yep,
that is a normal person.
Yep, you are completely correct. Another donation came in. Happy birthday, Richter. For your birthday, I'm giving Zesty money instead of you.
That's fine. That's fine. Zesty needs it for his retirement.
God, fuck you, Richter. I'm not that old yet. I got at least 35 years before I consider retirement. So
I'm gonna get out of here, Zesty, and let you get back to your stream. But because it's my birthday, you gotta let me get away with telling everybody to go to tf2goldrush.com. Okay?
Do it.
Everybody go check out TF2 Gold Rush.
Yes, if you are
we're doing amazing things.
So like I'll plug it. Like if you guys are interested in a far more classic Team Fortress 2 experience, where you are playing the game as it were around the 2009 era, before all the hats and all the bullshit and all that other stuff was added.
Well, there'll be hats. There's gonna be hats, but not bad ones.
Yeah,
okay?
before the
soldiers.
bad hats were added. If you want to go experience and you want to go see the development of this kind of a thing, go. You got a link, Richter?
Well, you can just go to tf2goldrush.com, but I can also do the Discord link. Hold on.
Gold. Is it just tf2goldrush.com, all one word?
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, you can just go there. And I'll
give me a Discord link so people can join.
Thanks, Zesty. That's great. Okay, that's all, and I'll let you guys get back to your stream.
This is going to be a cool mod. This is going to be a fun one for people to check out. So go have a look. Go help them out with playtesting things whenever they want, because it's going to be a cool thing when it's all said and done.
It's going to be fun. Okay, I don't want to promise you anything, but it's going to be fun, and it's going to be like classic TF2. It's going to feel like
it's already fun for what it is, man. But it's going to be even better.
We have the most autistic man alive leading it, so that's how you know it's going to be good.
I can confirm. I can confirm. Happy birthday, man. Have a good day. See ya.
Yeah, peace.
Richter overtime, everybody. You know him, you love him. Richter. Okay, so. No, and he's just right. Like, the way SolarLight creates this dichotomy between, like, casual players is like, let's talk about how the non-poop eaters are interacting with the game, while we as the poop eaters, elevating the poop eaters to the same level of the non-poop eaters. Not saying competitive players eat poop, like he said, but it's a very silly way to paint the entire argument. It's just, oh my god. Okay, so now we're on to more important things. We are talking about the What Show's third installation, the Unholy Trinity, the final chapter, the final installment of his fucking Rebalance series. There have been a couple of good suggestions. There have been a couple of not so good ones. And we're gonna have a look. We're gonna see what he does. It's 50 minutes. We're gonna see if we get through everything. I'll do my best. And he's starting with the medic. When it comes to medic, personally, I don't think much needs to be changed. The only things that I think need addressing are the vaccinator, the Vitasaw, and giving passive reload on all of the syringe guns. Beyond that, medic is pretty okay. I don't think anything else needs to be changed. But let's see what he does. Let's see what he says.
Medic is quite possibly the class in most need of balancing, because
We're off to a bad start. We're off to a really bad start. 2 seconds, we're off to a bad start.
not only does Medic have the single most overpowered item in the game, but 2/3 of their item slots have meta picks so crucial to their gameplay that simply not using them is considered sabotaging your team. Nearly every single item in Medic's kit is useless. This means Medic
I disagree.
players are forcefully pigeonholed into a singular meta loadout that restricts variety and causes people to not want to play Medic. That's something.
No, just try a syringe gun. I mean, the syringe guns are still fun. They are objectively worse than the crossbow in many ways, but they're still fun.
I'd like to see fixed. And the root of all of these problems is the Crusader's crossbow.
Don't nerf the crossbow. Slightly buff the syringe guns. The only acceptable nerf that I can see for the crossbow is reducing how much damage it does. Like, if you're gonna be able to heal and deal damage at the same time, reduce the damage output to, like, cap it at 50 instead of 75, right? Beyond that, don't change anything else.
Here's the thing. I like the crossbow. I'm willing to bet that you also like the crossbow.
But for the record, I don't think, don't nerf it. Don't nerf it.
But the tricky thing is its mere existence completely invalidates the syringe guns.
Now, Overdose, I think, has very good utility. Bloodsager's fun, but it's inefficient. And then, of course, the default syringe gun's the default syringe gun.
The syringe guns were all purposefully designed to be bad weapons. You use the syringe guns most effectively by never needing to pull them out in the first place. you'd only ever consider
Yeah, it's the little weak weapon you pull out when you find yourself caught out and by yourself to finish someone off that the person you were healing wasn't able to kill. That kind of thing.
pulling one
Fine.
out when you're alone and have no other recourse. But if you're a good medic player, you actively spend every second of your existence avoiding that specific scenario. The Crusader's
Unless you want to be battle medic, and that is fun.
crossbow is the only medic primary designed to actually be a good weapon. In comparison to the syringe
And in my mind, they shouldn't have made it a weapon but a healing tool.
guns, the crossbow can deal insane burst healing, is a reliable self-defense tool, is
Not really. At close range, the damage output on the crossbow is really a bit of a pittance. 30 was it 35 to 45 damage at like close to mid range just isn't that much. You also got to land your shots. It's a little wonky.
great for sniping.
It is still markedly easier to hit shots with than say a syringe gun, but still not that much stronger.
Enemies and allies alike from long distance.
That's where the bullshit comes in, where you can spam the damn thing, and no matter what you hit, you're doing something good. Like at a distance, it does a lot, right?
Reloads passively, can build Uber, has a much more generous ammo.
Like, compared to any other projectile at maximum range, the Crusader's crossbow does the most, except any grenade from Demo Man. And a sticky after it lays down. Other than those two projectiles, at max fall-off range, the Crusader's crossbow does the most. Also Huntsman. So other than those three. Am I forgetting any? It does a lot of damage is my point.
Ammo supply, and the list keeps.
Why is Medic the only class where its unlocks are a straight upgrade compared to other classes? If you'd like to know, I highly, highly recommend going and watching Lister's History of Medic video. It is a very thorough and comprehensive overlook of how and likely why Valve was really leaning into the crossbow Ubersaw stock medigun loadout. Go check out that video. It is very good. It's a very good video.
Ongoing. The one thing the syringe guns have over the crossbow is that they deal better damage per second if you can connect all of your needles, which is, never. So
It's not never, it's hard, but you can
trying
do
to
it.
balance the crossbow and the syringe guns is like walking on eggshells. If you nerf the crossbow too hard to be equivalent to the syringe guns in power, then all you've done is nerfed Medic's most fun unlock into the ground,
Yeah, so don't really nerf it.
which will cause even less people to want to play Medic. However, if you buff the syringe guns to be on the crossbow's level, that could
You don't need to buff them to be on the same level. You can give them again, I think the best thing you can do right now, the one thing Valve should do right now for all the syringe guns is give them the same passive reload that the syringe gun has. If you do that, I guarantee you'll see syringe guns used at least a little bit more often.
lead to a power creep type scenario where players will begin to prioritize the syringe guns over the medigun and not bring value to their team. So instead of going too far one way or the other, I'm gonna try and meet in the middle and do a little bit of both. I'm gonna change the crossbow to give the syringe guns an edge in some areas, but keep its fun factor unaffected, and I'm gonna buff the syringe guns to be more practical and more fun to use. So let's start with the crossbow. The only change I am making is reducing the reserve ammo count by 70%. This reduces your total amount.
I don't think that's what you should be changing. You've fundamentally changed nothing about the mechanics of the item, and if you're just spamming the crossbow without pulling out your medigun 11 times and completely depleting your ammo, that rarely happens. What? This doesn't change the crossbow at all. And not to mention the amount of ammo packs that are dropped all the time, the existence of dispensers and payload carts. It's like, it's not gonna be that hard to get more ammo and replenish the small pool. If it was like 5, sure, but 11, not much of a change. You're not really addressing why the crossbow is so much better than the other syringe guns. I would have just nerfed the damage and capped it at 50. Like, have the minimum damage be the same, but then have the ramp up end at 50, and I think that would be okay. Yeah, you'll also never spam all 38 arrows, nor 11, exactly.
Amount of reserve bolts from 38 to
I shouldn't say never, you'll rarely spam all 11 arrows
11. Now,
before you come across another ammo source.
for the syringe gun changes, these are a lot more extensive. Now,
Okay, thank you. Wait. Why? Just let the whole clip reload. 10 needles for every 2 seconds. That's not even valuable. Just reload the whole thing. Why 10 needles every 2 seconds? That's like an unnecessary thing. Just reload the whole fucking thing.
All syringe guns reload passively.
Like, I like passive reload, thank you, but the 10 needles for every 2 seconds is nonsense. Did I try using YouTube's editor to get rid of the part of your video that got flagged? Thing is, Richter, it's not like an age restriction, so like I can't dispute it. So even if I were to remove it, I don't know if it would go away. I guess I could try, but I'd have to hunt down like the 1 millisecond where I say the unalive word. So we'll see.
Over time. I reduced the syringe gun spread by 20% and
The spread's not the issue here. If anything, the spread helps you hit your shots a little bit more. And then he increases the projectile speed of it.
increased the projectile speed to 1200 hammer
What does
units
that
per
translate
second.
to? Let me
And now,
see.
the last and largest change.
No, you don't need to do more. It's already too much. Increasing the projectile speed and the spread is it's too much. No.
When you press Alt Fire, you consume 20 ammo in your clip and launch out a special projectile. The projectile
What?
does hardly any damage to enemies, but what it can do is allow for your teammates to be healed at maximum healing ramp up.
No, that's a terrible idea. No. Like, there's a reason why Medic has set healing rates and why it ramps up when your teammates are damaged. To completely be able to negate and remove that mechanic is asinine. No. That is a terrible thing. Yeah, and then at that point, why use the crossbow when you can just spam that right click, use your Uber a little bit, and top people off? It's like, that's, no, it's completely unnecessary. Like, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay with everything else. Like, even the shitty passive reload of 10 needles per 2 seconds, whatever it is. Like, even that's fine. But why this?
Hitting an ally with the needle projectile allows you to heal allies at this maximum healing value, even if they just taken damage.
There's a reason why that's a balanced thing in the game.
So let's break it all
Because it prevents the medigun from out-healing more damage
down
sources.
piece by piece, starting with the crossbow's ammo reduction. This change does not affect the crossbow's strength. However, what it does do is force players to make a conscious effort in how they conserve ammo. There's more strategy in how you approach situations with the crossbow, and this also gives the
And he touched the payload cart, so after, what, 4 shots, his ammo got topped off again. Cool.
syringe guns a slight edge,
His ammo's just being topped off.
considering
If you wanted to use a clip that supported your argument, maybe don't play payload.
they have a lot more ammo to play around with. And speaking of the syringe guns, let's dive into that. The projectile speed increase and reduction of the spread are fairly self-explanatory. They're just intended to make the item feel better to use. And as far as the pass
Like, I'm okay with the faster projectile speed, I guess. I don't know about the tighter spread. I think the wider spread is fine. Like, again, you don't want to make these things too powerful, and what he should have done was just nerf the damage a little bit on the crossbow, and that was it.
of reloading goes, this is a huge game changer, even if it doesn't feel like it. Now,
The passive reload is the best part. Like, that's just the one thing that should be done completely. Just the passive reload is fine. It's all you needed to do. It's all you needed to do.
the big change. With this newly added feature, the syringe guns can all finally compete with the crossbow's utility.
No, then now you've made them too strong. Not a good idea.
However, this also wouldn't completely invalidate the crossbow either, because the syringe guns can't do burst healing, and their effectiveness would be limited to allies within your medigun's range, whereas the crossbow can be effective from any distance. So,
I just don't think it's a good idea at all to completely remove that very deliberate balancing mechanic of heal rate ramp up, of crit
the
healing.
syringe guns are good,
Not a
and
good
the
idea.
crossbow is still fun and strong.
I don't think negating crit heals is it's
Mission
not a good idea.
accomplished. Maybe the quick
No.
fix in the right situations can be a very powerful unlock.
You don't need to change the quick fix. The quick fix is fine. It's good. It doesn't need to be as good as stock. It gets its job done. The only thing that I think the quick fix needs, if you're gonna change anything, is if you flash heal somebody when you're Ubering, don't remove the 10% Uber if you flash someone. Have it be like the Crits Krieg, where you can flash as many people as you want, and so you can burst heal more people with the Uber. That could be the slight buff it needs. Beyond that, that's it. You don't need to change anything else. Don't change anything else.
But even if it can be good in the right situations, I don't think it'll be very controversial when I say that the quick fix is undeniably Medic's weakest medigun.
No, that'd be the Crits Krieg, because the Crits Krieg requires strict coordination in order to use, and relies on aim. You can keep someone alive with this thing infinitely more, and they don't have to, and you don't have to rely on your healing target to kill the person attacking them. I
But
don't.
that
I think the Kritzkrieg is just the worst option, or the
doesn't
weakest
necessarily
option.
need to be the case. To me, the quick fix feels like an item that's 90% there. It's very close to being on par with its colleagues, but it just needs a little encouraging nudge to
What are you gonna do?
cross the finish
I'm
line.
scared.
And I feel like that nudge should come in the form of buffing its Uber charge.
Okay.
The quick fix's
Okay.
Uber
We're going in the right direction. What are you gonna do?
is pitiful compared to the other mediguns, and that is mostly by design. The medigun that's the strongest at healing shouldn't have an Uber charge on the level of something like Stock or the Kritzkrieg, but in that same breath, I don't think it should be as weak as it currently is. So in order to quickly fix the quick fix, I want to quickly buff the item's Uber charge to be stronger, but
How?
not powerful enough to rival the other mediguns. And after all, the item is called the quick fix, so let's just make you quicker. My only change to the quick fix is that while Ubered, both you
That's gonna make no fucking difference. What difference does that make? It's barely even tangible. That's not gonna change shit.
and your patient gain a 15% speed boost.
Like, I can see this being moderately useful on a heavy if he's revved up, but beyond that, that's
This
not gonna
boost
change jack
It's
shit.
nothing compared to 100% crits or invulnerability. However,
Again, just do what I suggested in that if you flash somebody, it doesn't eat up a chunk of your Uber. Just so you can flash everybody on your team when you have the Uber running. That would make it perfectly fine and slightly more valuable
with
to
full
use.
knockback resistance and a little bonus speed, the quick fix's Uber can be more oppressive than before, making it harder for enemies trying to run away and escape you.
They could still just focus you down though.
This small change should hopefully be the encouragement
Like, in my opinion, the wrong way to use a quick fix Uber is to pocket the same person with the Uber. The best way to use a quick fix Uber is to flash as many of your hurt teammates as possible to top them back off. To keep more of your teammate alive and to make it harder for the enemy team to push in, right? That's the best way to use a quick fix Uber. And in order to feed into that, the best buff it could get is, again, by removing the reduction of Uber if you flash somebody. I think that's the best thing to do.
push forward that the quick fix needs.
A better buff for the quick fix in Kritzkrieg is a 15% damage resistance when Ubering. I don't think about it. I
Without
don't know about
pushing
that
it
one.
too far. Now, let's try to solve the Uber saw problem. Just like how the crossbow completely
Don't change the Uber saw. The Uber saw is fine. The default bone saw is fine. These things don't need to be changed.
invalidates other options in the primary slot, the Uber saw does the same thing for the melee slot. Don't worry, medic mains, I'm not gonna nerf the Uber saw or anything drastic like that. I'm not even gonna touch
Okay,
it.
good.
Instead, I'm just gonna buff medic's other melee weapons to be on the same level as the Uber saw, rather
what
than
are you
vice
gonna do?
versa. So let's start with the Vitus saw.
Alright, Vitasaw absolutely needs a buff of some kind. This thing fucking blows. The mechanic it's always had of retaining Uber after death it's just never been valuable, ever. Because, like, you have to die in order for the weapon to have some use. And so, what's the point of using this when you can just swing and get a melee hit in and get the same amount of Uber back quicker, right? Needing to die in order to make this thing useful is stupid, and I just don't like the mechanic at all. I hope he reworks it. I don't know what it could be reworked into, but we'll see.
This item tries to directly compete with the Uber saw by offering a form of Uber insurance on death. However, the problem is that the Uber saw gives so much more value without being nearly as situational. Get 25% Uber and live, or keep 15% Uber and die. Seems like a simple choice to me.
Yeah, that's just true. The weapon does suck for that mechanic. Again, if you have to die in order to make use of it, it's just not
As
worth
long
it.
as the Vitasaw's
Ever.
gimmick revolves around dying, no one's gonna ever want to use it.
Thank you.
Because, unpopular opinion, dying kind of sucks.
Yes.
That's right. I speak the truth, even when it hurts. However, one change the item received in Jungle Inferno that I actually enjoy is the organ harvesting mechanic. It's such a cool mechanic for such an
It's another way to disguise an on-hit bonus like the Uber Saw. That's all it is.
abysmal ability. So, to fix the Vitasaw, let's take the organ harvesting mechanic and push it somewhere else. I made it so the Vitasaw no longer retains Uber on death.
Okay.
I also added a 25% slower firing speed.
Okay.
But to compensate, I removed the health penalty and gave the Vitasaw a new function.
All right.
Instead of retaining Uber on death, the Vitasaw's organ mechanic now serves as a way to heal yourself and your team. When you gain an organ, you can heal an ally by striking them with your melee weapon. This will heal them for 100 health and consume an organ. Or, you can heal yourself by pressing Alt-Fire, healing yourself for 50 health and consuming an organ. I find this rendition of the
That would be kind of AIDS to play against, man. You hit someone, and then you instantly heal back a third of your health, and you just keep you hit, right click, hit, right click, hit, right click, hit, right click. That would be fucking AIDS to fight. To just keep healing yourself after killing somebody. And then that would also immediately invalidate all the value that someone did. It's kind of like, to me, it's an equally annoying thing like the fucking kunai, where someone deals all this damage to you, and then it's immediately invalidated because they got one hit on you, and then can just replenish all the health they just lost, right? I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's a good... I don't mind it being a tool to heal your teammates, because it's balanced by the fact you have to cut off your healing beam and then hit them with your melee, which takes time, so it's another way to give some kind of a burst heal. But having it heal yourself, there's a reason why Medic doesn't have any self-healing tools. He's meant to be vulnerable. I don't like the idea of it being a self-heal. I like it being a way to, like, strike your teammates and give them some health, but I also don't know, but even then, I wouldn't even consider it that valuable. Like, you have to take the risk of going in and hitting someone with your melee and not dying, and then storing that long enough to then heal somebody by bursting them with 100, but then also just use the crossbow. The crossbow exists, you can just heal them for the same amount, or like a similar amount, faster, without having to put your own life at risk by hitting someone with a fucking melee. You'll just use the crossbow over this all the time. So it's not a bad idea to have a heal-on hit for your teammates, but this is just going to be overshadowed by the damn Ubersaw, and also, or the crossbow, rather. And also, yeah, you can heal them for more at any range, instead of having to put your medigun away and then hit them with your fucking melee. Like, I don't know about this one, but I don't know what it could do instead. I don't know what it can do instead. Like, this is one of those things where I'd really have to sit down and think about an alternative balancing idea for the fucking Vitasaw. I just don't know. I mean, this is better than what we have now, because, again, a mechanic that requires you to die in order to make use of it is not fun and sucks. Healing yourself, it requires 2 organs, but then, like, again, this would make it to the point where it shouldn't have the self-heal. It shouldn't have the self-heal. Being able to heal your teammates, but also 100's a lot. Maybe bump that down to 75 instead of 100? I don't know. I'm not offended by the idea of healing your teammates, but it shouldn't have the self-heal.
Vitasaw to be much more fun, and also a much better value proposition to compete with the Ubersaw. Using the Vitasaw
That's AIDS. Like, he can just run in and then negate all the damage you got.
To heal yourself can save your skin in a pinch, and it's really fun to pull off.
Gets out.
And the ability to heal allies with the Vitasaw also gives it.
And then he just gets out and gets all his health back. Yeah, that sucks to fight against.
Now,
oh my god.
Let's move on to another medic melee I'm buffing, the Amputator.
Just allow for them to cancel the taunt with a cooldown, so you can't spam it, right? Let them cancel the Amputator taunt, but have it have like a 10 or 15 second cooldown so they can't spam it. That's what needs to be done to this. Because the mechanic is awesome, it works really well, it's very powerful, but being locked to that taunt sucks. And if you're given a temporary one-off chance to cancel it so you don't die, I think that would give it the slight buff it needs. And also, yeah, I'm playing the video at one point at 1 1/4 speed so we can get through it.
Much like the quick fix, this is another weapon I think is on the cusp of great.
If he does anything other than that, I'm gonna be
And it's just a couple quality of life buffs away from being a viable option. The Amputator has a decent niche for survivability due to the bonus health regen, and it serves as the only area of effect healing option in the game. It all sounds good on paper.
Isn't the bonus health regen broken on this damn thing? It has to be out to use it, but I don't remember if it's broken or not. I recall hearing that it is broken. I have to research it again.
But in practice, it's a bit underwhelming. For starters, the AoE heal can only be accessed by taunting, and it can't be cancelled early. Essentially, stun locking yourself in place for several seconds.
Yeah, and that is the major downside, yes.
As a sitting duck for the enemy team. Alleviating some of the risk associated with the Amputator's taunt should let the item perform much better in the niche it tries to specialize in. So here's what I did. I allowed the taunt to be cancelled early by jumping, and I also added a new ability. Upon hitting an enemy...
You don't need to have another ability. Just having the taunt be cancelable is enough. Striking an enemy player with the Amputator grants an AoE healing for nearby allies. Oh my god, that would suck! That would blow to fight against. Imagine facing down the enemy team, and then here comes the medic just wailing on you and healing everyone for free around you as you get mowed down. That sucks. No, terrible idea. Just have the taunt be cancelable with some kind of cooldown so you can't spam it, and that's it. Nothing else. This would be awful. awful to fight
player,
against.
nearby allies will be healed for 3 seconds.
And 3 seconds is a long time! That's a lot of health!
The option to cancel the taunt early gives the player more agency
Base healing is 24 health per second. Think about that. That's a lot of fucking health.
and allows the player to be more risky with where they choose to taunt. The second change is one that was heavily inspired by Brigitte from Overwatch.
Fuck you! This is not Overwatch!
Although hopefully not anywhere near as problematic as she was for her game.
Yeah, it would be problematic in TF2 too.
The ability to heal players around you by hitting enemies could allow for medics to go for offensive melee plays that open themselves up to being picked, but
Medic is not meant to be an offense class. He is the healer. Stop
successfully
it.
pulling off this strategy could give your teammates the boost they need to secure an objective or hold off a push. If the Amputator was unloved before,
No.
or because it was limiting and unengaging to use, now these small changes should give the Amputator some time to shine after being in the
The taunt definitely needs a cooldown, because if you can cancel it at any time, that would just make it too strong.
Ubersaw's Shadow for, let me see, 15 years? Oh my god, the Amputator can get a learner's permit to drive. And now, the moment
Game
you've all
old.
been waiting for. Oh yes, I've been saving this item for last. I want to savor every last second of this. I hate this weapon more than anything in
I'm assuming he's showing Vaccinator, but he's gonna like pull a joke and it's not gonna be the Vaccinator.
TF2. Nothing compares to my seething hatred for this item. My hate for this item is more fierce than the force of 1,000 feral hogs. My fury burns hotter than all of the known stars in the universe
Does anyone find this funny?
combined. I hate the
Okay, it is the
Vaccinator.
Vaccinator. Whoa, that render is really wonky.
Any other item in this game, I can at least muster the strength to fight.
Thing about the Vaccinator, man, is in the right hands, it is absolutely fucking busted. If you know how to use the Vaccinator and you're really skilled with the Vaccinator, you and your healing patient basically cannot die. And it fucking sucks to play against. But in the hands of like 90% of medic players, it is consistently the worst option because they don't know how to use it. I agree that the Vaccinator needs to be reworked into something that is less complicated. I don't know what that could be, but it needs... Hi. What are you doing? What's up, dog? What is it? Oh, is it raining outside? Are you scared? Are you scared because there's thunder? Oh, I'm sorry, doggy. My dog hates thunderstorms. He does not like thunder. Are you okay? You okay, dog? You okay? He gets all worked up. He does not like thunder. You okay? Yeah, you got put inside because he's scared. It's okay, doggy. You stink. You were outside, so you smell. It's okay, doggy. This poor dog. This dog flips out when there's thunder or fireworks. He gets really scared. It's okay. You can go lay down. You can hang out with me in here. Just go lay down on my bed. It's okay. Lay down. It's okay. He's just gonna hang out in front of my fan. Anyway,
against.
he's not a pit bull. He's some kind of mutt. He's like a pit bull mix of some kind. He just showed up in our backyard one day, and then he just became our dog. So he's a great dog, very sweet dog.
However, the Vaccinator is the only weapon in the game so abysmally dogshit to fight against, so unfun to engage with, that I will just leave the lobby on site if I see an enemy player using it.
Yeah, it is fucking AIDS to fight. I completely agree. But the question is, how would you rework this? What could you rework this into? I honestly have no fucking idea. I have no clue what you can change this thing into.
It is the most blatantly overpowered item in the game, and I want to bury it 6 feet underground. People sure do love to flaunt around the fact that the Vaccinator takes a
I just don't know what you could do, because this thing has gone through so many iterations to make the base mechanic, I guess, more interesting and less AIDS to fight. But after every iteration, it just seems to get worse and worse.
Of
I don't
skill
know, man.
to justify its strength, but literally all you need to do to use the Vaccinator successfully is know how to count to 3, which, to be fair, is a tall order for most medic players. Dang, I'm on a roll. The Vaccinator has 4 charges that make you practically invulnerable to nearly every instance of damage in the game. When put together, those charges last longer than a stock Uber charge, and your Uber charge builds...
I think, maybe have it so you can't stack two resistances on top of each other. So if one type of class or if one type of damage is focusing you down, you're still vulnerable to another one that can focus you. But if being able to turn off 2 of the 3 damage types in an instant is pretty fucking busted. So maybe
67%
remove that.
faster than stock.
Oh, but the vaccinator can resist melee damage.
First off, here's your reward for being a free thinker. And second off, try approaching a medic in their pocket with your melee weapon out and
Third degree is very fun. I think some of the this isn't an excuse for the weapon, but some of the most fun I've had playing TF2 is when there's an overly cocky vaccinator medic and I corner him with my third degree as pyro and I random crit him with a third degree. The seething rage I see in chat when that happens. Oh, I wish I could put that in a candle. I wish I could put that in a candle and light the wick and fucking smell it. Oh, it's so fun to do that shit. God. Oh, it's great.
tell me how it goes for you.
Yes!
If you have an IQ above room temperature, the Vaccinator is by far the most well-rounded medigun, and it is not even close. It's time that I take—
Thing is, I mean, it is busted, but people consistently use stock because it's infinitely simple. It's infinitely simpler for a similar payoff and a similar level of effectiveness with a fifth of the effort to use it, right? Doesn't mean it's not busted, but
take my revenge and give the
people usually just stick to stock.
what it's had coming for a long time. I made it so only one resistance bubble can be active at a time. I added a short 1-second cooldown between bubbles, and I made it so you can't capture objectives while bubbled.
I like the last one. You shouldn't be able to capture objectives with the Uber. I think that's fine. I also like I wonder if he means you can't pop a bubble on multiple people at once, or if he means one damage type per person. If it's one damage type per person, I still think that's okay. But only having one bubble at all might be a little bit too harsh. I don't know. Maybe it's a good idea. But I still like the idea of not being able to put 2 resistances on one person. But this effectively solves that if you can only have one bubble at a time. So that's effectively the change being put here. So
These changes remove a lot of the cheese from the Vaccinator and make it a lot more balanced to fight against. If an opponent correctly counterplays the Vaccinator medic by switching up their damage type, the medic can no longer flip them off and just activate a second bubble.
yeah, that's basically that's the main problem with the damn thing is, you know, if someone can actually outwit the vaccinator medic and use a weapon he's not actively healing against, he can just turn them off too, and then you're reliant on a third damage type, and if that class just isn't present, you're fucked.
And the short cooldown between bubble activations creates a small window enemies can capitalize on to deal damage, forcing medics to properly time bubbles rather than just spamming them mindlessly. All things considered, I'd say these—
You can't spam the bubbles. You have to actually think when you use this thing, right? There is a level of practice that's required to really make the vaccinator busted. But if you're a novice with this thing, it's gonna be the worst medigun 9 times out of 10. But if you know how to move shit around with your resistances and, you know, the timing of things, and you're gonna be a fucking menace and you're basically gonna be unkillable. There's probably nothing more cancerous than a sniper being pocketed by a vaccinator medic completely. It sucks. Yeah, and just some basic situational awareness, which, let's face it, most newer players don't have. So
nerfs are much more reserved than what they could have been. So any salty Vaccinator users should thank their lucky stars.
I think I'm pretty okay. I think I don't know about the 1 second cooldown. I think that's too much. But I think the one bubble at a time and not being able to capture objectives is fine. I like that. I think those two things are fine. But the 1 second cooldown between each one might push it a little bit too far into the weak territory.
Because I held back and showed you mercy when you really didn't deserve it. I could have made this so much worse for you. Alright, let's talk about something that isn't quite as controversial.
Oh boy. Before this, I have to piss again, and I need more water, so let's let this stew for a moment. You guys know my thoughts on the fucking sniper, so I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Now on to the fun part. Now the best part of the video we've all been waiting for. Fucking sniper shit. Let me check the weather here. I'm going to see if there's any storms coming my way real quick before we dive into this. Let me just check. Yeah, there's rain around. Is there going to be more later? Oh yeah, we're going to get fucked. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, we're going to need a lot of rain soon. Fantastic. All right. Let's continue.
I don't think he's as bad as people say he is. I swear this video isn't rage bait. I think a lot of sniper hate gets overblown to comical proportions to the point where actually valid points get lost in the sauce. However, I won't act as though I think
You can't hate sniper mains enough. I'm sorry, there is no limit. You cannot hate sniper mains enough.
sniper is perfectly balanced because there are things I would change if given the chance. So what exactly is the problem with sniper?
Lack of counterplay and lack of visibility.
I believe it's visibility. The most common piece of advice given to new players to counter sniper is respect the sightline. If snipers are a problem, stay out of
That's not a lack of visibility, that's a lack of counterplay.
the areas.
Because what can you do to a class when 8 I'm going to be reiterating all of my talking points here, but when 8 of the 9 classes are effective at close to mid-range, and then you have one class that can do an insane amount of damage at any range, infinite range, gee, it's almost as if though there might be an unfun interaction baked in there somewhere.
You know they're watching and eliminate the risk of encountering them. In a vacuum, this advice works. However, if you're facing off against an experienced sniper, this goes completely out of the window. A good
because
sniper
it doesn't
will be
matter where they are.
impossible to spot.
If the sniper can see you, you will just die if they're good enough.
Know to change their position to catch enemies off guard, to hide their dot behind walls so enemies can't see you. And a good sniper knows some goofy-ass sight lines, and you know they're gonna abuse the hell out of them. In order for sniper to be balanced, it needs to be easy to respect his sight line. All of this serves as a preamble for my huge sniper class rework. I bet you're quaking in your boots right now on the edge of your seats in anticipation. Well, here...
Just punish a sniper for missing a shot. That's the main thing you need to do. Punish a sniper for missing a shot. This can be done in multiple ways. You can drop his max ammo, you can increase his reload speed, you can add tracers to all of his guns so his position is revealed and people know a sniper is there without having to look around and face away from the enemies to see a sniper dot on the wall behind them. You know, oh, there's thunder.
Here it goes. My big controversial sniper rebalances. I added the classics tracer rounds to all sniper rifles.
Cool, that's great. That's just something that should be done immediately. I completely agree. Like there should be zero refutation of this. None. If you disagree with this one fundamental absolute requirement, please drink an 85-gallon jug of mustard immediately.
Yeah, that's it. My goal for adding tracers to every sniper rifle is one I've already explained. It allows players to instantly see where a sniper is if they miss their shot, which gives the player the choice of pushing onward at the risk of getting shot, or moving away and respecting the sniper's sightline.
It also punishes the sniper for missing a shot because now players know where he is and can flank him.
This makes playing against snipers much more fair, and considering this single change fixes pretty much all of my problems with sniper as a class, it's the only universal change.
But it's still not enough, because if there is no way to approach him, because he has his entire team between you and him, he needs something else to be punished. Something else needs to, you know, increase the punishment for missing a shot. That's why I still think reducing his max ammo count so he can't stay in one spot for too long, which breaks up it gives a break in his presence so people have a chance to push, right? That'd be a good, like, drop his max ammo to 10. Right, or increase something to break up his shots so people have an opportunity to push, or do something against the team that is protecting him.
Change I've made to sniper as a whole.
And also a huge part about sniper's balance is a huge part of like sniper's fucked balance are his unlocks, and also spy's unlocks that got nerfed, which were good counters against him. So.
But the changes I've made to sniper's individual weapons are far more interesting, so let's dig into that. Starting with the Sydney Sleeper.
The piss rifle's fine. The only thing you need to bring back is let the piss extinguish teammates. That's just fun. it was a fun thing you used to be able to do, is extinguish your teammates by shooting them with piss. Just bring that back. Don't change this gun. It's fine. This is actually fun. This is a really good gun. I'm surprised more people don't use the Sydney Sleeper. This like really lets Sniper lean into the support role. It's great. Don't change it. No, I don't think you can extinguish with the piss rifle anymore. I think they removed that, right? Pretty sure they removed that a long time ago. Let me see. Let me check. I'm pretty sure they did. Scope shots now extinguish teammates? Does it still do that? I thought they removed it. Well, guess I'm using the Sydney Sleeper more then. Because in my mind, I thought they removed it, but it's been so long, I guess I was wrong.
I am not very fond of the Sydney Sleeper.
Fuck you. It's the one that's in least need of any change.
I
It's
went on
fine.
a long rant in this video already, so for the sake of brevity, I'll just bottle up my anger and push it deep down inside of myself, like any self-respecting adult should. Long story short, I think a rifle that discourages headshots and incentivizes hard scoping and body shots is lame.
How is it lame? It keeps Sniper in tunnel vision for longer and makes him more vulnerable, which in turn addresses one of the problems that you cite with Sniper. You know, like, it gives people an opportunity to push when his FOV is reduced to 3.
And completely antithetical to Sniper's core design.
You can still headshot with the 2, by the way.
In fact, Valve agrees with my sentiment so hard, they changed the Sydney Sleeper so that it can headshot.
But even then, like, this is still meant to be the support weapon. It's fine.
So which
I
one
don't see an issue.
is it? Not to mention, for good Sniper players that can actually aim, the Sydney Sleeper is basically a direct downgrade from stock, because
Yeah, they're always gonna use the fucking stock Sniper rifle. So, like, if you do anything other than buff it, what are you
in
doing?
what world is someone going to want to body shot someone and hope their teammates finish the job?
Because it's really fun to coat people in piss. And also, 150 is nothing to shake a stick at, or nothing to scoff at, I should say, right? It's nothing to scoff at, right? And you can also follow up with a second no scope and deal what, 63 damage? It's pretty good.
And they could just get a
I fucking love the Sydney Sleeper. I don't see anything wrong with it. I really
headshot
don't.
with any other rifle and kill them instantly.
Yeah, and 202 on headshots, right? And yeah, and it's still pretty good.
One purpose in life is to be a crutch for bad Sniper players that want to feel like they're contributing to the team.
It's not even a crutch. How is it a crutch if it's worse?
If you use this item,
Like, seriously, how is it a crutch if it's worse?
you sleep in a race car
Sorry,
bed.
68 on minicrit, but still.
If I catch a Sydney Sleeper player in real life, I'm gonna give you an atomic wedgie. Possibly
That is not funny.
even a wet willy. Maybe even a swirly. And gosh dang it, I'm ranting again, I'm sorry. The Sydney Sleeper is unengaging to use, it sucks to fight against, it lowers the skill floor of the class to rock bottom,
Not really. I don't think I've ever had a bad time playing against a Sydney Sleeper sniper. No one fucking uses this thing, right? If this thing was so good and so bitchy to fight against, more people would be using this thing. Most people use stock because stock is just the best.
and the
The
item
Sydney Sleeper's fine.
stats are a jumbled mess, and I'm gonna chuck it all in the trash.
I mean, I agree that, like, when it comes to the stat explanations on all weapons, Valve could have greatly simplified them so they're easier to understand, but
My balance
Valve.
mod, my rules. I am completely reworking the Sydney Sleeper from the ground up to be more better. Considering I'm starting from scratch, you can just completely forget about the old stats. I'll just
what's he gonna do?
tell you the item's new stats. Headshots apply Girardi for 3 seconds. The rifle no longer unscopes after each shot.
Huh?
And while scope, you have a 33% faster reload speed.
So is it only Girardi on headshot then?
However, for the drawbacks, critical hits deal 33% less damage.
Okay. So what is that? 45, so it's like 115 damage on headshot, quick scope.
Damage is affected by fall off. And you can no longer charge your shots.
Wow, it sucks now. No one will use this. Ever. Wow. It now does no damage. It now applies Girardi only on headshot, I assume, for 3 seconds. Why would you ever use this thing? And it has damage fall off. Huh? Yeah, now it's not a sniper rifle anymore. If it has damage fall off, what have you done? What have you done? How is this is not even buffed? You've made this thing way worse, man. Just leave it the way it is. It doesn't need a change.
And after
It's
playtesting
fine.
with it for a while, I think this rendition of the item is actually really fun to use. Instead of being a crutch for bad snipers,
Sorry, it does 101 because it's 33%, not 30%. So it does 101.
like
It only
before,
does.
the Sydney Sleeper now takes skill to use, is more powerful, and is nowhere near as annoying to fight against. Overall, this is a
Just makes sniper more campy, but always dealing less damage, man.
large net buff for
Yeah, it can't even kill now.
the item. And if you're a Sydney Sleeper user angry at my changes, I strongly encourage you to cry about it in the comments. I am gonna make a
Your change is fucking retarded. Leave it the way it is. I don't need to leave a comment on your fucking video.
collage
It
of
does
all
not
of your
need to be
salty comments
changed.
and frame it on my wall. Ah, this never gets old. Another item
Sniper mains don't use this thing.
on the chopping block is the Bizarre Bargain. And the problem
The Bizarre Bargain is fine. It doesn't need to be changed. Please, for the love of God, except maybe, what could you do with it? What could you do about this? In a way, it is kind of a direct upgrade if you never miss your shots. Let's see what he says.
I have with this weapon's design is fairly simple. The Bizarre Bargain is a snowball weapon. What that means is the more kills you get with it, the stronger it becomes. There's plenty of snowball weapons in the game I have no problem with. I know there's a very large amount of TF2's player base who just hates
Thing is also, man, sniper mains don't touch this thing because the initial downside requires them to scope in for so long that, you know, it's not worth. And even then, they're going for quick scopes anyway. So why would you have the added downside on the first 2 shots?
snowball weapons as a concept, because they punish you for the mistakes of your teammates. But I've never really cared myself. My problem with snowball weapons are the examples when where they're fully snowballed, they're just a direct upgrade over stock. Because at that point, the item has no downsides. Nothing to balance it out. See, the
That I agree with, because something like the airstrike, even at max capacity, has a
Highlander
downside.
from the last video. I regret nothing. This is something that applies very heavily to the Bizarre Bargain, because once that item is fully snowballed, it is a direct upgrade over the stock sniper rifle. And the sniper rifle, by itself, is already one of, if not the strongest item in the game. The Bizarre
The initial hill to climb to get there is very steep, though.
Bargain allows good snipers to be brutally oppressive with 0 drawbacks, picking off classes with body shots at insane speeds. I feel like there needs to be something to balance out its power, because as it stands right now, the Bizarre Bargain is overpowered.
No, I don't think it's overpowered. I think it's fine.
So,
If it was overpowered, sniper mains would only be running this.
I'm opting to go for a more glass cannon type of design. While equipped, the Bizarre Bargain reduces your maximum health
I like this already.
by 15. Unlike before, now there's a
Okay, we're good. Keep going.
constant lingering downside.
Good.
that
I like it. Keep
makes
going.
the weapon weaker
Yes.
or
Good
stronger
change.
depending on the situation. And the player has to choose if the Bizarre Bargain's faster charge speed is worth the health cost.
No, this is great. Fuck sniper. Make him have less health. Fuck it.
But enough nerfs. It's time I throw you sniper players a bone. I have quite a few buffs to some of Sniper's most underappreciated weapons. Starting
Great. That's great. Fuck you. Fuck snipers. Good. Lower base health if you use a fucking gun. Good. Eat shit. Die. Fuck you. Leave it. Good. Good change. Good. That's great. Leave it. Moving on.
with the Huntsman.
The Huntsman does not need... Okay, now I'm mad again. The Huntsman needs no changing. The Huntsman needs no fucking changing. Don't change this thing. It's fine.
For the most part, it's gonna stay unchanged. However, one aspect of the item's design that hasn't aged gracefully is the Huntsman's lack of ability to reload while holstered. This makes it inconsistent with the design of
No, I don't think you should not have passive reload on this thing. It would be really too strong with the spam.
other single
See Crusader's crossbow.
shot items like the crossbow and flare guns. So for my Huntsman change,
Nope, don't do that. Nope, just makes it even, nope, more spam. Bad idea. Nope.
I'm just gonna bring it in line
Nope.
with the design philosophy
You
of the other
do not need to buff this thing. It is fine.
weapons by allowing it to reload while holstered.
Nope.
This isn't a meta-shifting change or anything like that, but it's just a nice quality of life buff to have that makes the
Nope, it's fine.
It's been more intuitive to use and a better combo with other items like the SMG.
Nope.
Another rifle I'm buffing is debatably Sniper's worst primary.
Oh, the classic is fun. Fuck you. Leave it the way it is. I like the classic. I love my shitty poop gun that sucks and eats poop. It's lame. Fuck it. No. I like it. It's fun walking around when you're scoped in and you're moving at full speed. It's fun and people have no idea how much damage you're about to deal to them and they just fucking die. No, leave the classic as is. It's a fun little shitty weapon. You can still have... No! Don't do anything!
The classic. If I had to choose any single word to describe
You're right, the classic is cool because it does suck. And it is... Dude, I cannot tell you how much fun I have using the classic on just like a DM high tower server. People get so fucking pissed whenever I use this thing. Oh... Don't change
classic,
it! What are you doing to my baby?
It charges slow, you move slow, and your respawn timer will be slow because you inevitably died because
That's so fun. Don't change it.
you're using the classic. All it takes is one stat.
Honestly, when I play Sniper, I use the classic, I use the Huntsman, and I use the Sydney Sleeper. Those are the only 3 primaries I use on Sniper. Nothing
to
else.
completely ruin this item. Needing to fully charge your sniper rifle for even the chance of doing a headshot makes the classic's
Yeah, but then you have no tunnel vision.
gameplay an
That's a big deal.
unbearable drag. You spend all of this time charging up your shot, and if you miss, you're shit out of luck. You gotta start charging another shot again.
Good. Punish a sniper for missing a shot. As God fucking intended.
The ability to charge without scoping is undeniably nifty, but man, it just doesn't make up for that slow-ass charge time. So, in order to
it's
fix
fun.
the
Leave
classic, I'm speeding it up. Now, the classic charges 20% faster. With this
I'm not
you still
super
have to fully
opposed
charge your
to
rifle
it.
deal critical headshots, but you aren't forced to charge for quite as long, which creates less downtime and
I'm not
Ideally,
strongly
less
opposed to
boring
it.
gameplay.
I think it might be fine.
Another item I'm reworking.
Okay, if that's it, I'm not upset. If that's it, I'm not upset. I think that's all right. It's not going to be that impactful, but that's not what it shaves off. What 1 second, 2 seconds of charge time? It's okay. He didn't change any of the. He didn't change how it functions at a base level, so it's a slight buff. That's fine. I'm okay with
To be
that.
stronger is the Darwin's Danger Shield. This item's purpose is to
Fuck the DDS and fuck the Razorback. Snipers should not have doubled health against the class that is designed to flank, and should kill him if he's right next to him. Snipers should not have 250 health, which will allow him to freely walk at the pyro and randomly crit him with his melee. Fuck this item.
serve as a hard counter to a class you already have a very strong matchup against. What? The only reason you'd ever really consider throwing the Danger Shield on is if there's an annoying Scorch Shot Pyro on the enemy team.
Yes.
And you're just really sick of their shit. But a hard counter to a single annoying unlock does not make...
It's not even a hard counter to a single annoying unlock. Like, if you're the pyro, and you manage to get around the entire enemy team, you fucking fight, you get to the sniper, and you're right next to him, that sniper should be unequivocally fucked. He should die. But no, you get 250 health against Pyro. Fuck you. He gets to kill you instead.
For exciting weapon design. Before the weird rework the Danger Shield got,
No, you should not be able to basically turn off Pyro's primary. No thanks.
it was an item that increased your overall survivability. It increased your maximum health from 125 to 150. And it was perfectly fine if you ask me, as 150 health doesn't cross any crucial health thresholds. The problem came in the form of another
Yeah,
upside.
the bullet
a
resistance,
passive
which
bullet
made it a
damage
must run for
resistance.
snipers. We know,
These
we
two
know.
upsides in tandem allowed you to tank a quick scope
This was years ago.
headshot from an enemy sniper.
Almost 10 years ago. 10
Trivializing
years
your
ago.
matchup against enemy sniper players, which is a big no-no when counter-sniping is one of the main
Isn't it crazy that nothing has changed in this game for so long, and that there have been so many videos about all these unlocks? We're basically repeating the same thing for over a decade, that there have been no balance changes at all, but we keep referring to how these weapons used to function over a fucking decade ago as a point of reference. That's kind of a sad thought.
things that keep snipers in check. So what I want to do is merge the best of the old and new renditions of the item to create a much more well-designed item that increases your overall survivability without being a huge middle finger to one class in particular. I
Okay.
removed the complete afterburn immunity from the item, and
Good.
removed the fire damage resistance.
Good.
But in its place, I reinstated the max health bonus and added a 50% reduction to debuffs while active. The maximum health increase is enough to be substantial.
I'm okay with the max health increase.
But it's not a-
just giving him 150 health is fine, sure.
Enough to tank a headshot. So the sniper matchup is still intact, and the debuff resistance applies to more things than just afterburn, so it's more generally versatile. These changes should vastly improve the item without pushing it too far. And after playtesting
thing is, it just makes other weak mechanics even weaker, like, you know, bleed and fire. It's like, I don't know, man.
with these changes for
I don't know. I'm okay with the 150 health. I think that's acceptable, but like, what else could it do? I don't know. Yeah, I think just plus 25 health is, like, acceptable. Because I know a lot of sniper mains that would prefer just to have an extra 25 health as opposed to an SMG. I think that'd be okay.
a while, it has yet to prove itself as problematic, so all seems well. And now for the next item, the Cleaner's Carbine.
Does this thing need to be
When the stars align-
changed? Probably. It's really slow. The slower firing rate does suck on this thing a lot. And the payoff for it isn't that great unless you're comboing it with the fucking Bushwhacker. So you're really usually just better off using Girardi Bushwhacker or the normal SMG and any other melee. Like, if you're really wanting to use this thing as a reasonably viable alternative, maybe buff the accuracy a little bit, like 20% more accurate, and just maybe a slight buff with this thing, just so it's a little bit less aids to use. And then I think that'd be fine. It needs a small buff. It needs a small buff.
When you get that Crikey meter charged up, you are capable of some truly dirty plays. There's just one problem. Getting that Crikey meter filled up is an absolute chore because this item stinks. It's stinky and smelly. When not factoring in the Crikey meter, the Carbine is a straight downgrade from the stock SMG, an item that isn't even particularly strong by itself.
Doesn't it have a smaller clip size too?
You need to deal 100 damage to even get the chance of using the Crikey meter. The odds of you filling that meter up and successfully using it in a single life.
Yeah, the fucking ghetto animation's a little silly.
The item could use a boost to help make farming Crikey easier, because as it stands, it's just not very fun to use.
Yeah, so remove the smaller clip size, keep the slower firing rate, and maybe just buff the accuracy a little bit.
And as a wise man once said, if it's not fun, why bother? So I'm gonna give it a buff in the form of its accuracy. The Cleaner's Carbine no longer has bullet spread.
Horrible idea. No. Okay, that's too much. No. There's a very good reason why every other hit scan weapon in this game has spread. The most AIDS thing to fight would be an automatic weapon with perfect accuracy in TF2. Just turn that off and see how fun that is to fight. Fuck no. No, like 20% more accuracy, 30% more accuracy? Sure, fine. I'd be okay with that. And then also remove the clip size penalty, but not this. Jesus.
Perfectly accurate with every shot. Perfect accuracy may seem like a lot, but allow me to put that into perspective. At maximum damage falloff, the Carbine deals 4 damage. That is nothing.
It's still
And
annoying
not
to
like
be
Sniper has a
pinpricked by
problem
a
with long-range
consistent
hit
4 damage per shot stream at infinite range. That sucks.
scan options
Oh, and it would also be so good against buildings too,
The
man.
time
You
you're
can just
spending
stand there and go. Brrr. No.
Firing enemies from a distance is time you're not spending using the sniper rifle, which is infinitely more effective at that task. So no, this change isn't primarily directed towards making the item stronger for combat. Instead, this will make the Carbine much better for dealing chip damage, and chip damage can add up over time, increasing the rate and ease of which you can pop the Crikey meter. And while the Crikey meter is active, the perfect accuracy in combination with the lack of damage falloff on mini crits could make the Carbine a solid option.
Yeah, and then when you have perfect accuracy with mini crits that don't have fall off, and you could also crit buff this thing for perfect accuracy. Ha 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 ha! Oh god, no.
For picking
No, just give it a slight accuracy buff and remove the clip size penalty, and then I think it'd be okay.
Enemies at longer distances. And now for the Girardi, a weapon I am
Why is it pink?
very excited to talk about.
Why is it?
Considering how
It's
much
the green screen, but why is it
love
pink?
the Mad Mill change
Sniper have cancer?
from the first video. My problem with the Girardi is the same problem I described with the Mad Mill back when I talked about that.
So, I agree that Girardi is a problem. I agree that it needs some kind of a nerf, in that snipers are allowed to use the weapon a little too selfishly, in that they almost always use it for themselves whenever they're approached by a spy, and they can one-shot them with the Bushwhacker. In my opinion, a good way to nerf the item is if a sniper throws it too close to himself, he also soaks himself in the piss. That's been my consistent suggestion, right? Is if he throws it too close to himself, he gets himself covered in his own piss and takes his own mini crits. That way, he can't selfishly use it all the time, and it becomes more of a support item than not. You know? That's what I think.
This item is a
So if you're gonna use it selfishly, then the spy who's coming at you who's also going to get one-tapped, has a greater chance of being able to kill you too. Like, if you're going to whip it out as the free one-shot kill, then, yeah.
Essentially, a free team fight win in a jar that you can spam essentially whenever you want. And the only thing keeping it in check is that most players don't truly grasp how powerful it is, and opt to just throw it at clueless spies. In order for Soldier to give his entire team mini crits, he needs to deal 600 damage in one life, and blow into a trumpet that gives an audio cue to the entire
Thing is, man, with the buff banner, all you have to be is close to the Soldier when it pops, and it affects multiple people at the same time. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty strong. With the Girardi, you have to throw a janky projectile, and they can move out of the way of it. Like, they can't move out of the way of someone who's been fucking... who has, like, a buff banner mini crit, right? Especially with hit scan, like, they can't dodge it, they just have mini crits turned on. Like, if you're coated in Girardi, you can at least, you know, move out of the way, and you have to throw the janky projectile to have it land on them. So, or they can reflect the jar, or destroy it with the fucking short circuit, right? It's less consistent to have it thrown on multiple people.
to click mouse 1. Not to mention that just like the Mad Milk, the Girardi can be refilled at
I
the
still think it needs a nerf, though.
supply cabinet, allowing you to give your entire team mini crits just every few seconds. A strategy
No one really does that, though. Like, if you're hanging out at spawn and constantly, like, walking in and out and in and out and in and out, it's
I
not
am
that effective.
shamefully going to admit I have abused to great effect before. So my goal with the Girardi is simple: make it less spammable. So I've made it so the Girardi resets on death, you can no longer refresh it at supply cabinets. I've also made it so the Girardi works kind of like the gas passer.
No one will ever use this thing now. Now this will never be used. Now this will never be used. Congratulations, you've made it useless. I don't think the issue is the spammability. It's never been the spammability for the entire time it's been in the game. Spamming this thing has never been a problem. It's always been that snipers use this too selfishly as a get-out-of-jail-free card against a spy. That's the #1 problem with this fucking thing, is the Girardi Bushwhacker combo, which is fucking annoying to fight. Punishes spies way too heavily. So, again, if he throws it too close to himself, soaks himself into his own piss.
Now, if you want to use the Girardi, you either gotta wait for the cooldown, or you gotta earn it. And while the Girardi is still...
Yeah, I agree, and the Bushwhacker also is very strong, but even then, you can still use it selfishly with any other melee and get your damage bonus for free, so still think it should have himself soaked in his own piss.
Insanely powerful, these changes should help eliminate a lot of the cheese factor it has, and make it more fair to fight against.
Now no one will use this, I'm sorry.
And finally, the last
You nerfed it way too hard.
sniper weapon I'm changing is the
I think the Shiv is fine. I don't think this needs to be changed at all. Less damage for bleed time. It's pretty good against spies. It's fine.
Tribleman's Shiv.
You don't need to change
The Tribleman's
this.
Shiv suffers from the same problem as the Southern Hospitality. It's an item built pretty much exclusively for tracking invisible spies.
Which is fine, because that's his hard counter, and it's pretty good, and
But
it has no useless downside to it. I think it's fine.
Since the spy was buffed to have debuff resistance while cloaked, the Shiv was made worthless at the very thing it was designed for. And
not
oh my
really.
god,
I think
it
it's
is
okay.
awful at everything else. It deals
Also, if you use it against anyone else and land 2 swings on them, yeah, you're doing a lot of damage.
tickle damage,
It's pretty good.
which damn near guarantees any fight you try to pick with it is one you're not going to survive. It's a
I
truly
disagree.
pathetic
I think it's
weapon,
okay.
and one of the all-time worst items in the game.
That is a very bold statement to call this one of the worst items in the game. That is just not true.
Oh, I hope to breathe some new life into the Triblemans by leaning into the utility aspect. I added a 30% deploy speed bonus,
No, Sniper does not need that on any of his melees.
and a 3-second speed boost on hit.
Sniper does not need that. It just lets him get his free melee crits all the time, over and over. Just remove random crits on this thing, then that'd be fine. But you're not
New
going to do that, are you?
Triblemans is a risky escape option. Using the speed boost, Sniper
You should not give him a means to escape. If someone has gone through the effort to flank the Sniper and is right next to him, he should not get another get out of jail free card with damage attached
can
to
run
it.
away and survive situations they might not have otherwise.
No!
And it places the enemy in a tough situation. Chase down the Sniper while you're bleeding and actively taking damage, or ditch
Chase down the Sniper who's now able just to get away for you for free while you're bleeding.
the
No!
Sniper, let them escape, and find some healing to get rid of the bleed. These small changes not only save the bleed damage,
That is not a small change.
but the Shiv as a
This
whole
is very
to give it a
strong.
new unique function over being a fancy-looking paperweight in your inventory.
No, it's fine as is. You don't need to change it.
And that is all of my Sniper changes. I'd say overall, the changes were pretty tame. Especially
No,
in comparison
you
to
had a couple in there that were pretty shit. I mean, most were decent, but you had a couple in there like,
other
fucking, you
balance
don't need to
mods.
change the
But
shiv.
even
The shiv
still,
is
I
fine.
anticipate a couple of these will be fairly divisive, just because Sniper is that controversial of a class. So,
And also, no Bushwhacker change. And no Razorback. Seriously? The Razorback needs... I think the Razorback needs to be removed from the game. I think the Razorback needs to be removed from the game. Being able to just turn off Spy's primary counter against you is one of the dumbest things they've ever put in the game. Because it forces the Spy to not only give up his cloak to kill you, but also use his loud-ass gun to kill you slower, which also alerts the Sniper to your presence and start moving, which then makes him harder to hit. Fucking stupid. And they nerfed the Ambassador, which should have been the counter to the fucking Razorback. So, ugh. I hate the Razorback. As conceptually, it needs to be changed. I don't know what it could do instead, but it needs to do something other than block a backstab. I fucking hate it.
if people really hate on these...
Because, like, great, okay, like, you have the Sniper main on your team, like, the Sniper main on the enemy team, who's not using the Razorback. You backstab him once, he instantly equips the Razorback. Now you're just fucked. Leave the server.
I'll make an apology video or something. Who am I kidding? I'm not sorry. And here we are, the final class in the Balance series. It's been a long journey, and we've had a lot of good...
Not much needs changing on Spy. Ambi needs to be reverted in some capacity. Enforcer needs some kind of change. Your Eternal Reward needs something. That's what I can think of off the top of my head.
Good moments, you and I. And...
There should be more buffs than nerfs here. Let's see what he
I bet you're
does.
begging for it to be over already, so I'll just get into it. Spy is often seen as the weakest class in TF2.
And he
in
is.
my experience, I consider Spy the weakest class purely because he's the least reliable. If you're good at a class, you can play them in nearly any lobby and perform well. But Spy isn't nearly as dependable. This is because Spy is the class that relies most on happenstance. Whether that be getting hit by random crits while trying to flank, having your cover...
Yeah, you're having to rely on the enemy team not seeing you and facing the other way.
blown by
Sure.
a stray bullet, getting hit with a random flare while you're trying to sneak around. There is so much that can go wrong while playing Spy, and a lot of it is largely out of your control. And it doesn't help that Spy is also the class with the most
That's also what makes him fun.
hard counters in the game. They are the easiest class to shut down. Not only is one of the 9 core classes designed to make
You
your
didn't address the shit that shuts down the Spy in Sniper's toolkit.
life hell, but think of how
You
many
didn't address the Bushwhacker or the fucking Razorback. Hello.
items in the game are specifically designed with the sole purpose of screwing Spy over for simply existing. The better you do as Spy, the worse he becomes, as people become more aware, swap to Pyro to Spy check, or equip one of the many, many items designed to give you the finger, until you truly embrace your French side and wave a white flag. I feel like to address these issues with
Okay.
Spy and improve him as a class, we need to minimize Spy's reliance on luck and make him stronger against his many hard counters.
You can't buff Spy too much without him becoming very strong. He already is very strong. Sure, he's the glass cannon, but if you're mildly competent, the insta-kill mechanic from behind, it's like, it's... Oh,
So when it comes to buffs, out of all of the classes in this series, Spy made it out like a bandit. The first of many universal buffs
That I'm okay with. I think giving more tools in Spy's kit to play into his role is fine. I think this one's, because this is something you can already do in TF2, but by some weird combination of, like, you have to have one less shot in your revolver and then reload when you're disguised, right? Then that works. Being able to do this with a button and feign a reload to, like, more easily trick someone on the enemy team, I think that's fine. Again, more tools in his kit to let him play into his espionage role. I think that's perfectly acceptable. I think he needed some of these things far earlier than straight combat options.
to the Spy class is the ability to mimic reloading while disguised by pressing R, regardless of your revolver's current ammo count.
And you can
Another
already
large
do
buff
this.
is the ability to run at the Spy's movement speed, no matter which disguise you're currently using.
No, I think I disagree with this one. I initially was an advocate for this one before, but after talking with a couple of Spy mains, like Starry Crow, for example, he very eloquently described why this would be a really fucking bad idea. yeah, it would make him a little bit too strong.
By holding the special attack key, I'm not
like if one of the most seasoned spy mains says this is a bad idea, I'm going to listen to him. Was it Starry Crow or was it someone else? No, I can't remember. It may have been Starry Crow. Was it? Who was I talking to? But this is a pretty that would be a pretty strong change.
This change. I believe High GPS was the first person to utilize it in a balance mod. And there's a reason a lot of balance mods adopt the idea, and it's simply because it's just that good of a change. With the ability to bypass the movement speed restrictions of disguises, Spy
I mean, they're there for a reason, right?
no longer has to sacrifice movement speed while using them, which is a huge boost. The next Spy buff is a 50% resistance to debuffs while disguises are active.
That's too much. Okay, so that you can't give him too much extra health while he's disguised. Like, I understand increasing his survivability so he can survive a spy check here and there, but at a certain point it becomes a little bit too strong. Yeah, 50% is a lot for only 125 health. I think that's too much.
This is something that already applies to the Invis Watch, but I'm also giving it to the disguise kit.
I don't think Spy Walk is inherently a bad idea. I think it kind of takes away one of the limiters on Spy, where if you are going to be disguising as something else, so doing that on Spy would just buff the Eurotunnel reward. You know, the silent backstab and walking at normal speed and instantly adopting the disguise of somebody would also just break that item.
Because Spy needs all the help he
I don't know, I just don't think it's a good idea.
can get when it comes to debuffs. And I am still not done yet. I'm also making it so that Cloak Shimmer from damage is dependent on distance.
No. No.
This should prevent a lot of the times where you get hit by a stray minigun bullet from a different continent and you get caught with your pants down. Overall, with these changes,
no, I don't like that.
I'm hoping to reduce some of the inherent luck Spy takes and increase his strength against hard counters like Pyro and Jiraiya.
I'm okay with the reload mimic. I think that's a cool tool, but other than that, I don't think any of these changes are a good idea. Maybe I can be reconvinced that the Spy Walk idea is decent, but not these last two.
Obsolete for spy checking. So with all of my universal buffs taken care of, we can move on to the individual weapons, starting with the only spy weapon I'm going to straight up nerf, the Diamondback.
What could you do to make this thing less annoying, right? I guess have it so crits are only rewarded on backstab, instead of just sapping random buildings and getting crits for free. That's really the only thing that I would do for it, is only get crits rewarded on backstab, instead of also sapping. Yeah, so you actually have to put in some effort to get those crits instead of, you know, sapping an unattended dispenser or half a teleporter, you know? I don't know, man. Even mini crits with the damage reduction, just I don't know. I don't think it'd be that good. It would only make it do slightly more damage than stock at that point, which isn't much. Draw speed. I still think just removing the crits gained on buildings sapped would be an appropriate nerf for this thing.
Exactly is wrong with the Diamondback.
Because then if you were to go back and rebuff the ambassador back to how it was, then that would be the better alternative to this, because you don't need to worry about backstabbing someone and putting yourself at risk to get a crit whenever you want.
In the wider TF2 community, this has got to be one of the most despised items in the game. But I have a confession. It doesn't bother me nearly as much as it seems to bother other people. Maybe there's some form of gentleman's agreement among spy mains that I'm not privy to, but for as much as people tout the Diamondback as this meta-defining overpowered weapon in Spy's kit, I hardly see anyone use it, and an even slimmer amount
of point. Not that many people use
it effectively. Is the problem with the Diamondback that Spy shouldn't be able to deal consistent critical hits? Well, that can't be it. The Ambassador has been in the game for way longer, and throughout history, no one's ever seemed to have an issue with it. In fact, most people...
a lot of people had an issue with it back before it got nerfed into the floor.
Want to see it be stronger. Not only can the Ambassador deal guaranteed critical hits, it can do way more crits on average than the Diamondback can. Which leads me to what I consider the core issue with the Diamondback. These two revolvers should be yin and yang to each other. The Ambassador offers unlimited critical hits, with the trade-off being a higher skill floor, while the Diamondback offers a lower skill floor at the cost of finite crits. These two revolvers are perfect inverses of each other, so why is one despised and the other revered? I trace it all back to Jungle Inferno, when the Ambassador's critical hits were given damage falloff, but the Diamondback remained unchanged. So not only can the Diamondback deal full damage crits from any range, it takes less skill than the Ambassador.
If he nerfs it by adding damage fall off, you're just gonna give it the same problem the Ambassador has, and then no one will use it even more.
Do so. The yin and yang was thrown off. Now, the Diamondback's crits are superior over the Ambassador. All it takes to fix the Diamondback is restoring the harmony between the two, which is why for my solution...
Yep, now no one will use this thing, ever.
I'm giving the Diamondback...
You think not enough people use this now? Now it's guaranteed no one will use this.
...the same damage fall off on crits as the Ambassador. Now, just like the pre-Jungle Inferno times, the two are mirrored copies of each other.
Yeah, now no one's gonna use this fucking thing.
Neither is a straight upgrade over the other. And while we're on the topic of the Ambassador, I'm showing it a little love as well. The infamous nerf to the Ambassador's range will probably go down as one of the most despised changes in TF2.
Yeah, and it sucks. Just put it back. That's what I say. Just put the fucking Ambassador back. It did not need to be nerfed. We got gaslit into the whole, everything a spy does, sniper does better, that bullshit. We all got gaslit into thinking the Ambassador was this massive problem. It really wasn't. It was fine. Just revert it. And at the very least, get rid of the damage fall off, but still have the crits get cut off at the 1200 hammer units, right? Have the crits cut off there so you're not getting headshot across the map, but get rid of the stupid fall off, right? That's what I suggest.
Here's the thing. I was on board with it.
Fuck you.
Seriously, after everything I did for you. Look, I agree with the nerf for the reason Valve gave. Spy isn't sniper, nor should they be. Spy is a class that to the enemy team can be anywhere at any time. Spy can pick fights from any angle they want without being...
And so giving the cutoff at 1200 hammer units for no crits, I think that's all it needed. He didn't need to give... The fall off is the worst part about it. Because you can still go through all the effort, all the skill, and then you get a 54 damage headshot, but then what's the fucking point? Just use stock at that point and do higher damage faster. It's useless.
It doesn't make sense to be dealing 100 plus damage to an opponent from long distances when they can't react or see you. I gave the sniper...
They can see you and react to you when you are being shot by them. And like the difficulty of hitting a headshot from across the map with no scope in is very hard to do on someone moving, right? There's some really funny clips I remember watching with Starry Crow of like you're seeing professional spy mains missing shot after shot after shot after shot. The highest skilled guys missing shot after shot after shot, but standing still across the map on someone who's moving. It's like, I don't know, man. It was not as bad as people made it out to be.
For this very reason. But just because I agree with the reasoning Valve gave for the nerf doesn't mean I think it was a perfect implementation.
With the Ambassador, yes.
One aspect of the nerf that really grinded my gears is that at a certain distance, the Ambassador just straight up won't deal critical hits with a headshot. I don't think long-range headshots should be completely useless, considering the skill it takes to pull off. So I am raising the skill ceiling of the item and buffing it at the same time by allowing...
See, then you've now completely, ignored why people hate this fucking thing. They hate this fucking thing because of the fall off. You just remove the fall off, and also the fact you can still crit at long range is like, it defeats the purpose of the nerf, right? Like, oh, you're bitching about having too much damage being dealt at long range, and then you remove the fall off. So just make it do 102 up into the 1200 hammer unit distance, and then it's fine.
Critical hits to be dealt at any range, although they are still affected by the damage fall-off. So, you're not going to be absolutely lasering people from across the map. However, now...
And then at that point, it's not fucking worth it. Why are you going for headshots for 58 fucking damage on someone that's across the map? It's a waste of your time. It's not worth it.
You can get
just fucking revert it.
Cheeky picks on weak enemies trying to retreat. And the Ambassador isn't the only revolver to get some love.
No, stock is really good. The stock revolver is fine. Don't fucking change this. What are you doing? No! This is fine!
Universal buffs to
it has
all
no need, there's no reason to change the stock revolver.
Revolver weapons. See,
stock is really good.
Revolvers are very finicky because the bullet spread they have is very harsh.
For a good reason, because the damage is high. It's
have
really
an enemy
good.
Perfectly within your crosshair, at a reasonable distance away from you, and your bullet may just decide they don't feel like it, and instead...
Just delay your shot a bit.
Hit the wall behind them like a Looney Tunes.
Just delay your shot a bit. It's all you have to do.
As part of my goal to make Spy more consistent, I want to make the revolver less RNG dependent. I started by reducing the max spread on revolver.
No, it's gonna be even stronger now. Stop it.
Tightening the cone in which shots can land.
The stock revolver's really good. You don't need to buff it.
Second change I made was allowing the revolver's accuracy to gradually reset over a
No,
second.
you don't need to have it. No, you're just giving it the same bonus that the damn Ambassador has. Don't do this. People can already delay. No, it does not need buffs. The stock revolver is fine. You don't need to touch it.
compared
Stop
to
it! You're
instantly
making it
resetting
too. It's
after
too much. It's too
1.25
strong.
seconds.
Enough.
Before, either your revolver had max spread or it was 100% accurate. It was completely binary. Now, not only does the revolver's accuracy recover faster, it recovers gradually to make timing shots.
So like, not only do you make the base more accurate, but then you have it you give it even more accurate. No, you made it too strong. Stop. Go back. Just stock is
Easy.
fine.
Gunspy
Stock is fine.
back on
You
the
don't need
menu,
to do
boys.
anything else to
Moving
it.
on, let's talk about the Your Eternal Reward.
Just remove the fucking 33% cloak drain. Just remove it. There's no reason for that stat to be on there, right? You can disguise on full cloak meter. You still have the silent backstabs, and it's still fun to use. It would still be close to stock, just with a slight buff, right? With being able to disguise on full cloak meter. Just remove the stupid fucking 33% cloak drain. That is the only thing you need to do to make this thing good. That's it.
I never really cared much for this weapon because it promotes a very slow playstyle that doesn't really appeal to me. But the general consensus seems to be that this item could use some love. And even as someone who doesn't really enjoy the weapon all that much,
You can only use this thing with the L'Étranger. That's it.
take it upon myself to buff it for you year freaks. The knight's biggest problem is being shackled with a 33% faster cloak drain
Good.
penalty.
Just remove it.
The cloak
all
meter
you
is
have
my
to do.
strongest asset, and you already need to sacrifice an entire meter just to disguise. So the extra penalty is just overkill. This
Yes.
downside practically demands that you run the knife with the L'Étranger and
Yes.
stock Invis Watch to maximize
Thank
your
you.
cloak.
Some brain cells being rubbed together.
Any other
Hallelujah.
loadout, and you're basically throwing. One of my main goals with this series is to incentivize variety, so it pains my heart greatly to see an item that necessitates a very specific combination of items to succeed. So I want to do away with it. Therefore, I am
Good.
removing the cloak drain penalty.
And that's all you have to do. And the weapon is now good.
Without the debilitating hit to your cloak drain, you can actually switch
That's
things
it.
up.
That's
and try
it.
out
Thank God. That's it. Fantastic. That's it. Perfect. The best balance change we've seen in this entire series is this one change to the fucking Ur. Seriously.
new loadout centered around the year. So there you have it, your Eternal Reward fans. I buffed your favorite item.
I guess you could say, you're welcome.
Fuck off. It's not even funny.
Please don't go. The video's almost over, I swear. We're getting down to the final few items now, so let's talk about one.
Does the red tape need to be changed? I don't think so. I think it's one of the most annoying things to fight against as the engineer, to have your level 3s immediately de-leveled by just having this thing thrown on there. That just sucks. I don't think this thing needs a change. It is slow, but it's fine.
the least used items in the game, the red tape recorder. I mean it when I say it, that this item is a direct downgrade in every sense of the word, except for insanely niche scenarios. Mildly inconvenience an engineer or completely destroy their nest. Seems like a real tough choice to me. The value the stock sapper brings is just so much more valuable than de-leveling buildings. The red tape is outclassed and completely
It is slow. Maybe you could just increase the speed at which it de-levels.
obsolete. Yucky item. Truly yucky. So, how does one even go about fixing the red tape recorder when it's so gosh darn yucky? What I want to do...
Why do people say yucky? I don't... Why is that like a thing the youths do? Why, like, what is this youth thing with the use of the word yucky? Like, it's not cute. It's not cute. It's not intriguing. It's not what word am I looking for? It's not endearing, right?
is make the red tape recorder a better sapper for coordinated team plays. My singular change to the
While a building is being sapped, it gains a 50% damage vulnerability to incoming damage. Whoa, that's really strong. Ah, yeah, that's fucking insane. This is now the best sapper. Being able to immediately cut a building's health in half. What the fuck were you thinking? Excuse me?
red tape recorder is that while it is applied to a building, that building has a 50% damage vulnerability to all damage taken except for the spy who placed it. Now the red tape recorder
That's insanely strong.
is the sapper of choice for team player spies.
That now becomes the best sapper, because why would you not instantly remove half the health of any building you place this on?
With this new red tape, Spy can coordinate with his team to push
Yeah,
when he
soldiers and demo men will absolutely thank you.
saps, destroying the disabled sentry before the engineer can react and allowing the team to push ahead.
I think the better option would have just been to speed up the rate at which the buildings de-level. That's all
Red
you
tape
need to do.
recorder won't be more powerful than
Because being able to instantly de-level a building is pretty strong, because that already removes a shitload of health from the building, right? Because it cuts it down by the amount down to the subsequently lower level. And it disables it. But it's just a bit slow, right? So just speed it up a little bit.
stock in a lot of scenarios, but this change at least lets the
And people don't really coordinate with spies. That's
item
true,
have
right? So
niche
that's kind of a
scenario
bad
where it
argument.
can outperform stock. On to the next item, and this one's gonna be a doozy because
I don't know, man. I think the current state of the Dead Ringer is okay. It used to be way too strong in that you could spam it and, you know, survive anything, which is a bit much. I don't know. I also have never been a huge fan of the mechanic. You kill someone, but they're not actually dead. So, I don't know.
seriously,
Let's see what he does.
how am I gonna fix the
Let's
Dead
see what he
Ringer?
does.
Let me tell you how to fix the Dead Ringer.
Take the plunge and play the balance mod? No.
Delete it from
I'm
the game.
good.
Take this piece of shit and throw it into the sun.
I mean, I'm inclined to agree. I'm playing against that mechanic
Okay,
is not
obviously,
very fun.
I can't do that. Or can I? But the Dead Ringer has got to be the worst designed item in TF2, and I am very confident
Nah, it'd be the Razorback.
in that statement. At least with an item like the Vaccinator, I can admit they tried to execute an original idea that could have worked but failed. However, I cannot conceive of a single universe where the Dead Ringer works. It is rotten to the core. The item's intended purpose is for faking deaths to fool your enemies. But Valve realized that no one has ever actually gotten tricked by the Dead Ringer in the entire history of TF2. So they just made it a ridiculous
I wouldn't say nobody, but it happens only with really, really fresh installs.
spammable get out of jail free card for any scenario. I used
And
to hate the
that's
kunai.
pretty true.
I still do hate the kunai, but as I've grown wiser, in my old age, I realized everything I thought
What could you do to make this perform differently instead of it just, you know, making a spy a tank? I'm not sure what you could do differently with this thing. This is something else I'd have to like sit down and think about.
I hated
Like,
about
what-
the
what could
kunai
you rework
applies
this item to?
tenfold to the Dead Ringer. It allows Spy to escape any scenario they want with zero skill by simply right-clicking, which leads to every single encounter with a Dead Ringer Spy being infuriating because it is completely predetermined from the start. They're going to feign death away from you and run away like a little baby. And
I think the speed boost you get after feigning death does make it a little too easy to get away. Maybe just remove that.
there's nothing you can do to change the outcome. This lack of agency is stupid enough, but it gets even worse when you pair the Dead Ringer with the kunai, because when these items are used together, Spy is able to face tank 348 damage after stabbing someone.
Yeah, that
Spy
is
can
true.
have more health than Heavy and run faster than Scout at the same time by right-clicking on their mouse. And
Yeah, but you have to have, you know, gone out of your way to backstab somebody and pull it out. Then yeah,
there's nothing you can do.
It
to
is
stop
annoying. I
So
do
yes,
agree,
I am being
but
serious when I say that the best way to fix the Dead Ringer is to delete it from the game and pretend like it never existed. It is the only item in the game I feel this way about, because there simply isn't a way to make the feign death concept work without making it a one-size-fits-all get-out-of-jail-free card. And this places me in a very tricky situation. If I nerf the Dead Ringer, it would be unusable garbage. If I leave it
Yeah.
as it is, it stays as a ridiculous crutch and the problem goes unsolved.
no, I think we're in a good middle ground place now, because the old Dead Ringer used to be way worse. I think honestly, if we're gonna keep the weapon, I would just leave it as is. Maybe remove the speed boost you get after feigning death. Beyond that,
So,
you could just
I
leave
did
it.
my best to do something, but this is as polished as I could get this steaming pile of muck and scum. The Dead Ringer no longer stays out indefinitely. Instead, it's only active for a short window when pressing Alt-Fire, with a short cooldown between attempts.
So you don't stay invisible for a long term after you feign death. Then is what he's
If you're
saying.
attacked during the window the Dead Ringer is active, you will completely dodge the attack, taking 0 damage and gaining a speed boost that scales with the damage of the dodged attack.
We're going way too complex here.
Feign deaths now also drop the weapon held by your current disguise, regardless of team. However, you gain no additional damage resistance while cloaked, just the standard 20% from all the other watches.
I like this last one. I think but it decays over time too, right? I'm pretty sure it decays over
my
time.
main issue-
It starts at 66% and then it decays to lower. Right? Am I remembering that right? I think I am. Yeah, it starts at 66% and then decays over time, so... yeah, to 30%. Remove decloak sound to let go invis normally without feigning, but for 6 or 7 seconds, and feign has a separate 30 to 40 second cooldown. I don't know, man. I
With the
think,
Dead Ringer is that every engagement with it is predetermined. This is my way of giving both parties agency over the encounter. I'm turning the Dead Ringer into more of like a parry type mechanic.
I really need to sit down and come up with a good way to rework this thing into some kind of new mechanic that isn't feigning death. Because I agree that conceptually it fucking sucks to fight against. Like, in no situation in fighting a Dead Ringer spy is it like a fun and enjoyable engagement to have your attacks just negated and then he gets out and away. So, I don't know. It's one of those things where I'd have to really sit down and think, what could this weapon do differently? I don't know.
Like Air Blast, that rewards spies with good timing and
I really have to piss again. I'll be right back. I've been holding it for a bit. I've been drinking too much water. And then we'll finish. Okay. Better. Let's finish this shit, shall we? Let us continue.
prediction by completely dodging an attack and gaining a speed boost to get away. My intent is that this affects Spy's matchup like Air Blast does for Pyro, where an enemy can bait.
Let's fast forward to
Perfect.
Kunai.
That's completely fine.
That's the last
We can
one.
always go back to my first idea because I like that one better personally myself. Now that we've talked about the Dead Ringer, let's discuss its.
Does the Kunai need a nerf? Does the Kunai need a change? It is annoying to fight against. It is very frustrating to deal a shitload of damage to the Spy, to then have him backstab someone, get all of that health back, and then keep going. That is frustrating to fight against, and it really does just make it his best option. Yeah, it punishes having a bad team. Reduce the overheal a little bit. I think it might need a slight nerf. I think a slight nerf is needed, not a major one. 210 overheal, and then when you cloak and get an extra 20% resistance to all damage is a lot of fucking health. Maybe bump it down back to 180. Maybe bump it back down to 180 and not have it be at 210 or like 185, like his normal overheal. That'd probably be better than fucking 210. Just slightly less overheal would be better. Reverted to the gunmetal when it didn't have the minimum 75 HP overheal gain. See, I disagree with that because it's very frustrating to walk up to somebody that who in the moment when you're about to backstab them has, say, 100 health, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna get 100 health from this person. But then all of a sudden, right before you backstab them, they get hit by something and their health goes from 100 to 5, and you backstab them, get 5 health, and then fucking die. That made the kunai really inconsistent to use and really frustrating in many regards, and also it kind of eliminated the skillful usage of the item, where if you're focusing on someone that has health that you want, but then someone on your team removes that health and defeats the purpose of going after that one player, that just sucks. So I think it's okay to have the minimum health on kill. That's okay. I think it just makes him too tanky, so I think lowering the maximum overheal is probably the way to go. So make it like somewhere between 180 and 190, and I think that'd be okay.
Twin brother, the kunai. If you're a spy main, there's a good chance you think the kunai is balanced or even underpowered. For everyone else in the world who is not a spy main, there's a good chance you friggin' hate this item, and I am right there with you. However, as I stated earlier, I think the Dead Ringer is way more problematic. It just so happens that the kunai takes a lot more of the heat.
Make it bleed on backstab.
The ability
What's the
to
point?
instantly gain more health than
They're
Soldier
dead.
pretty much every time you get a backstab is an insane amount of utility that the other knives have a hard time competing with.
It really is the best option. most times. It's like, why would you ever use anything else?
And for that reason, the kunai is the knife of choice for pretty much every spy main in existence. And you spy players have an ungodly devotion to this thing, I swear. I have seen strange kunais
because it's just good. Because it is just Spy's best
with
option
upwards of
once you know how to play him at a competent level.
600,000 plus kills on them. The amount of health the kunai allows you to tank makes it an especially infuriating item to fight against, because no matter how much damage you deal to the spy, no matter how much health you whittle them down to, all it takes is one stab and all of your progress is erased and the spy is back to 200
that is insanely frustrating. That is just
plus
true.
health again. And then they'll just dead ringer away. So, in order to try and balance the kunai, I've gone with a suggestion from my good pal Cyber Wizard. Here's how he
Don't listen to this fucking idiot.
recommended that I balance the kunai.
Don't listen to this fucking
The
idiot.
maximum health cap from stabs is now lowered to 180.
Okay, good start.
However, overheal gain from
You buffed it. You fucking buffed it. You just buffed the fucking kunai. You made it better. The point is to have the overheal decay so it pressures you into getting another backstab. Now you can just get 180 health and then camp and then wait to do it again. It's like you just get your first backstab and then you always have more health. Huh? Why did you buff the fucking thing? Are you stupid? This is awful. You could have just dropped it down to 185 health would have been fine, and then you leave it as is. Removing the fucking overheal decay is moronic. Jesus. You could have even argued that the overheal decay is a little bit slower, but you need that decay to pressure the spy to not just camp around with a fuckload of health. Fuck me, man. That is a horrible
backstabs
change.
no longer decays. These changes should hopefully
That's
address
it?
the
Nothing
problems
else?
people have with the kunai from both sides of the aisle. With
You buffed it is what you did.
overheal decay, spy players no longer need to be as aggressive as before and can play more carefully.
That's the point, is to push them so they go into another backstab, so they have to maintain they have to keep putting themselves in risky situations to maintain that health pool. That is what balances the item. And then you just removed that.
And for people fighting the kunai, the lower health cap means punishing an out-of-position spy should be a lot easier. In conjunction with the Dead Ringer changes, this should hopefully make the try-hard spy loadout
You buffed it. Congratulations.
fraction
I
of-
keep double-clicking. You fucking buffed it. Congrats.
the annoyance it was before without making it useless. And thank God, because I am one kunai spy away from becoming a Valorant YouTuber. And this leads us to our final
You
weapon.
buffed it. That's it. You fucking buffed the damn
The
thing.
last item
Horrible.
I am changing in my balance mod, the Enforcer.
Okay. Just revert it with a straight up damage bonus and slower firing speed. This thing was fun. Just do that. Do nothing else.
Yeah, this weapon's not good. The bonus damage is very unimpactful. The only times it makes a difference is allowing you to two-tap
Bleed
light
for 8 seconds.
classes,
Here we
but
go.
Literally
Fucking
only when
bleed
you're
for
in
8
Joe
seconds.
Biden hair sniffing range. So like, you can kill oblivious snipers. If only Spy had another way of killing oblivious snipers. Oh well. I will give the Enforcer this. It somehow manages to hard counter almost all of TF2's most hated items. Vaccinator, Enforcer
But just barely.
stays
It's not
winning.
worth it.
Dead Ringer, Enforcer stays winning. Wrangler, the Enforcer stays winning. But just because the Enforcer can counter these items on paper doesn't necessarily translate to the actual gameplay. This isn't to say that the Enforcer is a terrible item either, because its downsides are pretty negligible, just like the upsides.
It's Spy's weakest revolver, let's be real here.
So the Enforcer is just kinda the revolver, but a little bit worse, which doesn't make for exciting weapon design.
It is just the worst option through
Yeah,
and
too,
through.
because the Enforcer used to be my favorite revolver in the game, because it leaned into a very gun-heavy playstyle that I love.
Yeah, and it was fun. Just put it back.
It
Just,
did
that's
bonus
that's
damage.
all you need to do is just put it back to how it functioned before.
But increase your time
You didn't need to rework it to make its stats crazy complex. Just give it the damage buff with a slower firing speed, and that's it. That's all you have to do.
float. So it was a good option for aggressive spies, but heavily limited your escape potential, forcing spies to fight. But the Enforcer's old downside didn't work with the Dead Ringer, which forced the Enforcer to be changed into what we have today. So there's another thing you can add to the list of reasons of why the Dead Ringer is ruining my life. I want to revisit the glory days. I intend to merge the Enforcer's old and current designs to get the best of both worlds. Now, it has a 15% bonus damage
Okay.
regardless of your disguise. But as a
Right.
trade-off, I added a 33% cloak drain.
Now, really, no one's gonna fucking use this thing. Oh my god, why? No one's ever gonna use this. Punishing a spy for cloaking at all is terrible. Like, the only item that gets away with it is the fucking cloak and dagger because you have infinite cloak if you stand still. It's the only item that can get away with it. Why would you remove one of the most despised stats off the Ur and then put it on this thing? Why would you do it? It's so wrong. Just put it back. Just give it the damn damage bonus, and that's all you need for it to do. That's it.
Now, the Enforcer's strength is back, and it's...
And then, like, I guess a nerf is make it do no damage to buildings. So Spy can't, deal with, so he focuses on playing with his gun against players, and if he decides to sap a building, then he can't take it down more quickly, right? Just do that. That's fine. Fuck it. That's my rework for the Enforcer. No damage to buildings, but more damage to players and a slower firing speed. Done.
However, the faster cloak drain rate means positioning around the map is way harder, and if you are an avid Spy player, you know how hard that drain speed penalty can hurt.
It's such a bad
Especially
idea.
Because you can't rely on L'Étranger to cancel it
No
out.
one's ever gonna use this
That
fucking
is my
thing.
complete balance mod. Oh my god, this took...
Thank God we're done. Fuck me. I was hoping we would end on a high note. I was really hoping we would end on a high note, but no, we end on the lowest of lows with the dumbest change possible to not only the kunai but also the Enforcer. Why? God. Oh. I really gotta make my own, man. I gotta make my own fucking video with rebalances, because these are shit. Fuck. Thank God it's over. We're done. We are released from this unholy trinity. Get us away from here, man. Holy fuck. Oh my God. It's a video I have to make at some point. I don't know when I'm gonna make it, but I have to make it. I have to make it. I have to make my own. It's like a trend. All TF2 YouTubers have to make their own rebalance videos. I'll make my own. Fuck it. Except it's gonna be one video and not 3. Something I've noticed in these videos is the fact he has this modern view of balancing where it's give and take. Some things just deserve a flat nerf or buff. I agree completely. Pull the trigger, just do it. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not playing the fucking balance mod. I refuse. Not doing it. Yeah, I could do 9 separate videos, 1 for each class. Oh, that'd be too much. I'd rather just make one big video. That's what I would do. And also bug fixes would be something to address as well. I feel like the TF2 community doesn't call out the chuckle nuts, like the What Show and Fish on a Stick, for being wrong enough. Because people don't really, like, let's face it. Most people that watch TF2 YouTube videos don't actually play the game, Should we mention to your audience the idea we've been kicking around, our other special guy says he doesn't mind podcast? I guess so. I'll get to that in a second. But I think the reason why people don't really think too deeply about these videos is they don't really play the game, right? They don't really play the game. They just... They look at the videos, they're entertained by the videos, and they don't really engage with the game that much. Because like if you look at any TF2 YouTube video, it's gonna consistently get a shitload more views than the number of people that actually play the game. Of course, it's not perfectly indicative that more people watch TF2 content than actually play the game, but there's gotta be grains of truth to that, man, because it's just more people engaged with the community and the content than the game itself. I think that's why they can, say some outlandish shit. Yeah, I agree. YouTube has been carrying TF2 for years. Like, if there wasn't a constant cycle of TF2 content creators, driving more attention towards this game, it would have died years ago. I completely agree. 100%. And the only reason why the TF2 YouTube game remains consistent is because it's so easy to make videos about this game and instantly get a shitload of views. It's super easy. You are 3 balanced videos away from making minimum wage as the next Chuckle Nut. That is just how consistently easy it is to make videos about Team Fortress 2. Simple as that. I will forever go by that quote. No, I really have no interest in watching those videos where they redesign 2 Fort. I just don't care. I just don't give a shit about how they put the fucking horseless headless horseman on 2 Fort. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, many viewers of TF2 content do not play TF2. Yes, that is just true. 100%. Completely. So naturally, they look at a video like this and go, oh, that sounds fine, but they've never played the game. So that is just true. 100%. The game gets all the attention because it's an excellent example of game design, not an excellent game to play. TF2 is an excellent game to play when you're not playing casual mode. If you get yourself inside of a good community server, you're going to have the best time of your life playing this fucking game. But if you're engaging with casual mode, you're not having the intended good experience of Team Fortress 2. That's really the next video that I need to get out, is my more concise explanation of why casual mode is fucking broken and how the game was not designed for a fucking matchmaking system, and just explaining that the game that everyone's been playing for the past 8 years is fundamentally flawed down to its core, to the point where it completely goes against what the vanilla game was designed to be. That's the next video I need to make, right? Because I did that in my Meet Your Match video, but it was sandwiched between 2.5 hours of front loading and then like another 45 minutes after that point. I really want to like hone in and go, this is the problem, this is why it's broken, here's what Valve can do to fix it, and why it needs to be fixed. Like just boom, 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 done, 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 each of the problems, and that's it. 45-minute video, maybe, at most, and then that'll be it. That's the next one I want to make, because one of the big points of that Meet Your Match video was to show people this is why TF2 is broken right now. But I admit a 4-hour video is a lot for people to digest, and most people aren't going to like hone in on that section and retain it. It's one of those videos that you put on, listen to in the background, and like, of course, I'm not saying that no one listened to it, but a lot of people are just going to have it on as background noise and are kind of like half listening. But if I shorten it down to like a much more compact, here is why it's fucked, and here's how you can fix it, then I think that'll get the message across a lot more, and hopefully encourage people to like ask Valve, hey, shit's broken, do something, please. Instead of looking for the community to make fixes for textures on a random hat no one uses. So, yeah, that's the next one. But something else coming down the pipes is Richter and I have been contemplating the idea of something that resembles a podcast, and I think we're gonna move forward with it. It's probably going to be posted here on the second channel. We haven't discussed the details of this at length, but yeah, we're gonna do some kind of a podcast type thing. It'll be mostly centered around Team Fortress 2, but it'll likely touch on other topics. It's not going to be strictly TF2 because that'll burn you out fast. Yeah. And it's going to be me, it's going to be Richter, and it's going to be Casual. Casual TF2 is going to be the third man. And we'll likely have a guest on here and there, but it's going to be centered on TF2, but it's it'll be more open forum, laid back, and it'll be a good chill experience. So that's the idea anyway. I don't know when I could say that the first episode's going to happen, probably soon, but it should be fun. It should be fun. We think we have found a good dynamic between us three individuals for a fun listen. So we'll see how it goes. And guests will probably come in the future as we do it. So yes, it is the guy who made the 12-hour video about bad water. that is what he's primarily known for. So, and yes, I'll still be on UFR. UFR is not my podcast. That's Lucid's. Lucid has me on as a guest, so I'll keep doing that as well. So. And the one that we're doing is not going to be live. It's going to be pre-recorded, and we're going to record it. We'll probably cut it up to cut out the dead air and other nonsense shit, and we'll upload it as a more cleaned up podcast instead of something being done live. Because live it can be messy, you can have a lot of dead air, so I'm not comfortable doing it live. I think just doing it in a more relaxed environment where it's just us, where it's just us in a call. We don't have the pressure of a bunch of people watching us to kind of force along the conversation. That makes the conversations more natural and laid back too, so that'll just make it more fun. That's the idea. The slurs will not be cut out. We're keeping in all of the slurs. Don't you worry, your little pretty heads. We're keeping every possible slur in the podcast. It's going to be great. It'll be fantastic. But yeah, expect that relatively soon. Again, I don't know when. You'll know when we release it. You'll know when we release it, I guess. So, cool. Even the hard R's. Even the hard R's, everything stays in. Oh, Lord. But yeah, the next video that I'm working on is probably going to be the follow-ups to the Meet Your Match video. And I just gotta get my ass moving on those. I've been a little bit discombobulated schedule-wise to where I've just not had a lot of time to work on them. Next week, my life largely goes back to normal, and so I should be making decent headway on it in the coming days. I'm hoping I can get a video out by June. If I can get something done by June, that would be ideal, so keep your eyes peeled on the main channel for that. And as the offshore project items are being released onto their respective websites, I'm gonna wait for all of them to be released to then do like another workshop stream covering all of that content. So that's gonna happen sometime in the next week or two. So expect that. And if you want to know when I go live, join the Discord, linked in the description below. You can't talk in there, but you do get notifications for when I go live and when I upload a video. So hang out in there and just wait until I give you that announcement. You'll know when I go live. And yeah, there you go. There you go. And yes, this VOD is gonna stay up. That's not gonna go away. Don't worry. It will remain. It will remain. So yeah, good shit. Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to cut it off there. You guys are great. I really appreciate all the donations today. You guys are awesome. I appreciate your unrelenting, amazing support. I love all of you. Not literally, it's kind of creepy, but you know what I mean. Thank you. And yeah, you guys take care, and I will see you next time. I've been going for 3.5 hours. I have to go. I'm very tired. I'll see y'all later.